Oh, there we go. Well, hello there. How is everyone? This looks good. Let me just check the volume. Good, good. I'm just doing work, so let me Control S. I need to unwrap both of you next. Cool. So today we were watching I Did a Thing. A lot of people have asked me to do this, and this seems like a good time to do it. Due to the fact I would like to get away from my work. I'm pretty much good to go. I've finished a weapon. I'm currently doing a tire for my class project. And then I've got to do a low poly car, and I've got to do some type of Sea of Things thing. But that's not bad. So we're going to do a bit of time. By popular request, we'd be doing this. Let me just grab this and put it on the other screen, so I can see everything. My whole setup's going to be changing soon. So right now I've got like a small monitor up there. I would like that on its side here. Right now I've got my ultra wide here, which is absolutely brilliant. Bear in mind, it's absolutely brilliant. So, but I'm going to get another one of these and then put that on top. And then my graphics tablet I am going to be selling because I do not like it. But a big but, we shall be watching I Did a Thing. Now, I just got a load of random ones. The only one I've actually watched, I've subscribed to him now. The only one I've watched, which one was it? I think it might be the coin one, but I'm not sure. I love animals, so we'll be watching the animal ones so quick. But we're mainly just watching some things. I need to get away from work, and I thought it would be nice for us to watch something. We haven't done a watch in some time. I don't like myself in that corner. But hey, let's watch the animal one. Just go down in order. I made sure these were in order. I made sure this time. But if people want me to watch more stuff, I know someone wants me to watch Michael Reeves. I've watched a couple of Michael Reeves. I haven't watched him in ages. All I know is Ding Ding, and that was it. And then there's another one from William Osman. And there's a couple others, like from the Hacksman. The only people I won't watch on stream is Asmongold, Pengo Zero, and someone else because they're in political parties, and it is quite mind frustrating when you're trying to deal with all that and people come in and then turn around and go, "Oh, yes, you must vote for this part and this part." I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. So let's have a chill time. I've got a nice cup of coffee. Knee spilt on me. I hope you all have a nice cup of coffee. Do we get a snack? No, we won't. Let's just start this off. Bear in mind, I will give a quick thing here. It has been some time since we've done this. Actually, hang on. No, I thought there was one. No, I haven't set it up. I thought there was one like with just an image here, me at the top. No, it ain't. Never mind.
How you going? Now, based off your comments, I've learned that a lot of you watching live in depressing countries completely void of any animal life.
Yes,
besides maybe
Britain.
the occasional subway rat, dead pigeon, and if you're
Take it back. I saw a red Harrington fox. Was it red Harrington fox or was it red panther fox? I don't know. It was a red fox, and I saw it on my way to university. I looked at it, and it looked at me, and I thought to myself, what are we doing here? And I looked at it and went, that's a fox. No, normally it's like a bushtail fox, like the greyer ones. But I haven't seen a red one in ages. And speaking of which, I've seen a owl. Not last week, the week before. And that was really nice. I do see some animals, just not all the time. I mainly just see dogs. And obviously when I'm at the university, I see therapy dogs. And that's just amazing.
Really lucky monkey freaking out on bath salts. And
Stoke. That is just England in general.
because of this, a lot of you now have an obsession, almost fetish, with Australia's animals and their beauty.
Как красиво. Здесь больше цвета, чем в бензиновой
Wait.
луже.
There are more colours than an oil spill. Is that Russian? That sounds Russian. It sounds Russian. Is that Russian? I think it's Russian. A 100% it is Russian. Eh? Oh. Okay.
And I'm aware of this, so during my videos, I do try to show off the beautiful guys in my backyard.
What is that?
I'm aware of this, so during my videos, I do try
It's
to
not a
show
parrot, is it? It's
off.
It's a bird. What bird is that? Right, of course. Right, yes, of course. I always forget this. What? What kind of bird is this? This bird is a rainbow... I'm not going to even pronounce that.
Rainbow lorikeet.
A rainbow lorikeet.
Appearance. They are known for their vivid colors, including a blue head and belly, bright green wings, back, and tail, and a striking orange and yellow chest. They also have a bright red bill. Habitat. Behavior. These are highly social, intelligent, and energetic birds, often seen in pairs or flocks. They are known for their distinctive calls. Related links. The rainbow lorikeet is a brightly colored, medium-sized...
Okay. So that's what that is. So it's a rainbow lorikeet. That's amazing. Okay.
The beautiful guys in my backyard. Wow.
Ух ты, у него цветные птицы.
I don't... That looks like Aussie land. Oh, that's a cockatool. I know that one. That one's a cockatool.
Вау, птица такого же цвета, как мех в животе.
But I've now realised this isn't fair to the ugly animals in my yard. So today, I'm going to share
Is that a woodbird? A wood
the
owl?
top 10 weird animals in my yard that you probably haven't heard of and are kind of ugly.
That's... that cute spider. I forgot what it's called.
Alright, now the first animal on this list is the Aussie bush turkey. Bush turkeys are known to be incredibly dumb and greedy animals that will do anything in order to impress a mate.
What I meant to say is Lord's Mobile is number one on this list, and
I would normally be respectful and actually play your ads, sir, but today, no. Jeez, ads go quite long on your video.
That use my link in the description below. Oh, and the sponsored segment is over.
Have you got a noose?
And number 9 on my list is the butcherbird. This guy. Butcherbirds are a very shy, small songbird related to the Aussie magpie. They are territorial birds that have a beautiful territorial song which can be sung by one individual but often involve members of the whole gang. The individual members each have a different section to sing, and if one of them stuffs up, they get evicted from the show. I'm lucky enough to hear all of them rehearsing this song right outside my bedroom window at 6 AM in the morning when I've had too much to drink. Also, just like the Aussie magpies, they're kind of dickheads and enjoy swooping people, which I actually really respect. But they get even more sadistic than the magpies. The butcherbird gets its name from its terrifying way of feeding, which strikes fear into the
Don't
heart
it like
of
take
every other
apart
bird.
people's bodies?
The butcherbird loves nothing more than eating babies, which they get fresh from the nest of other birds.
It's totally. That's a baby bird, I reckon. It's totally eating a bird. That is terrifying.
And after shoplifting a baby, the butcherbird will impale its victim onto a sharp stick and then slowly use the hook on the end of their beak to rip apart the prey, making it easier to eat, in exactly the same way as my local butcher.
Hey mate, how you going? What can I get for you?
What have you got today?
What have I got? We got lamb, we got
Oh, yeah.
sausages, we got it all.
And he recently lost
Do you
his
think he's
butcher's
gonna
license for
actually
his
eat them?
methods, and he wasn't even serving babies, which doesn't seem fair. Alright, for the next animal, I'm gonna have to turn out the lights.
Hey!
Ringtail possums.
Hey,
Just
we'll
like
turn out the
opossums,
lights.
but without the O. Possums
Hey,
used to be
turn out the
killed for
lights.
fur in Australia, and with 23 different species ranging in all different sizes, styles, and colours, they are perfect for making clothes for the whole family. I have 2 species in my yard, the ringtail possum and the brushtail possum, both named after the accessories they were historically turned into. These possums are most active at night, where they will walk around strutting their stuff on top of fences,
There we go.
electrical wires, and anything else they can walk along. And even though you always see them balancing on top of things, they never look happy up there,
Oh, that looks cute. What the
and
fuck?
always look like they want to come down. And possums may seem pretty cute to you, but they are hated by most Australians. You kind of love them
Why?
until you get to know them when they move uninvited into your house,
Oh.
where they will then set up in your roof space directly above your bed and will then force you to listen to them peeing, rooting, and eating their own fecal pellets. And then, if you ever have the misfortune of coming into contact with one at night, you will experience their advanced defense mechanism, where they will suddenly freeze up and look you dead in the eyes. And before you know it, you're non-consensually engaging in the world's longest staring competition with a marsupial. Until one of you, usually me, feels too awkward to continue and you leave them alone. Fortunately, possums haven't been able to set up in my roof as it's already occupied.
What?
So, they've set up their nest in these birds of paradise plants, which I too often accidentally disturb.
Never seen that before.
So cute.
We should reenact the Vietnam War more often.
Ringtail possums usually house their babies in a nest made out of leaves and twigs, which is a similar size and shape to a soccer ball, which is usually made by the dad possum. The male ringtail possum is the only possum in
Is
the
that
world
football?
known to look after and raise his kids, which is much better than most other mammals, including my dad. But I'm a grown man now and I don't let that kind of stuff get to me. I have nothing but admiration and respect when I see good parenting and a caring family. This is probably the strangest animal in my yard, as I have no idea how it got here, I didn't put it here, and my pond definitely hasn't been around long enough for the fish to evolve. So either it was hitchhiking on one of these prawns, or God is real. And I can't really tell what fish it is. Most likely a minnow, I think. A lonely, lonely minnow. Just chilling
Okay.
in the pond, all by himself, fighting off tadpoles, lizards, and cats.
Yes.
Hey, little guy.
We'll find out now. We do another one of these. You said it was a minnow. Ah, a gold white clouded Malatera minnow. It is a minnow. Ah.
Why did I leave you all by yourself for so long? Alright, let's go take you down to the creek.
There's nothing in the glass. Just had to double check.
Well, making nets and webs is pretty intense and a frustrating job. First, you need to pull a ridiculous amount of silk out of your ass, then find the appropriate place to anchor the web to, and then you need to wait patiently for the bugs to come to you. So, one entrepreneurial spider decided to skip the middleman and just make a web that it can bring to the bugs. The net throwing spider is a very common spider in my yard that I usually find under this wheelbarrow, on the bushes, on this window, or on my leg. This guy is around 4 to 5 centimeters long with eyes that must weigh more than his whole body. This guy's method of catching prey is actually truly awesome. At night, they make a rectangular net between their front 2 legs, which they then poop on to serve as aiming spots. And it's debatable whether they do this on purpose or they're just lazy, but it works, so it doesn't really matter. Then they put themselves in an opening and wait for somebody to walk by. When its victim finally passes in front of the poop aiming spot, the spider will lunge down, smearing its poop-covered net all over the unsuspecting prey. And this method of active hunting is only possible because of its ridiculously big eyes. And I didn't realize how terrifying they look until I took some close-up macro photos. These gigantic compound eyes give them insane night vision. They have the equivalent f-stop number of 0.58, which means they can concentrate light.
Jesus Christ, I'm now thinking of telescopes and stuff. That's literally a microscope. They have microscope eyes. They can see really down to the filter layers.
More efficiently than a cat or an owl. The reason they are actually able to process light so effectively is because they have a giant light-sensing membrane behind their eyes, which their body destroys and replaces every single day. And this is actually an easy and cheap method you can use to improve the low-light capabilities of your own camera as well. And at the moment, this is the only one I could find in my yard, which is dead in the net of a smaller spider. So I guess you're not so smart now, Mr. Entrepreneur. And I have no idea how this bird gets its name, and I'm not going to look it up. The tawny frogmouth is the absolute master of disguise. Its uniquely shaped head, feathers, and personality means you're never sure whether you're looking at a bird or a log. Its indistinguishable disguise even tricks the same species, who will often get mistaken and try to mate with particularly attractive logs. They've also been known to trick lumberjacks, who will attempt to cut a log, which then flies away. Once the frogmouth has done pretending to be a log during the day, it will turn on its gigantic eyes at night and then begin their search for food. I often see them sitting on top of telegraph poles at night or chilling.
That's fucking creepy. Imagine opening your window. It's quite dark right now. Imagine looking out your window and this is like looking at you like that. That's fucked. I wouldn't even
out right outside my windows, where they will make this kind of strange and calming whooping noise, like they are cheering for me to go to sleep. Dude, please. I'm trying to sleep. Shut up. Tawny frogmouths live for around 14 years and form lifelong relationships, typically producing 3 eggs each year. Unlike their relatives, the horny frogmouths, who are known to have massive orgies and live very promiscuous lives. And even though the tawny frogmouth has 2 to 3 babies a year, they still haven't mastered the nest building process and kind of just chuck a few sticks together on some branches without any arrangements and nothing to secure them in place, which means often their babies will just fall out of the nest. So the next time you're walking around outside, double check before you step on any sticks to make sure you're not stepping on a tawny frogmouth baby. Probably Sydney's cutest and most elusive marsupial. I think I might have, maybe, possibly, seen one in my yard when it jumped in between these 2 trees, which is good enough for them to make the list. Australia has a few species of gliders, which all look incredibly weird. The species that visits my yard is the sugar glider, which is definitely people's favourite, as you Americans and Chinese people are obsessed with stealing them and selling them online for a ridiculous price. And I strongly urge you not to support the online sale of animals, as they are always overpriced and you can get them much cheaper if you buy them directly from me. If you buy a sugar glider from me now, I'm running a special deal where I will chuck in some hairbrush for free. So, as the name implies, sugar gliders are marsupials that use their giant scrotum flap between their legs to glide around. When in the air, they use their tail as a rudder, and despite their tiny size, are capable of gliding the length of a football field. But I reckon they could actually fly much further if they just listened to me and tried flapping those scrotum flaps. Then they would definitely smash the world record. These gliders like to nest in eucalyptus trees in groups of up to 12, sometimes huddling together to keep warm. And they used to be fairly common in Sydney, but because of land clearing and feral animals, their populations aren't what they used to be. So I decided to head down to the local creek to see if I could spot a couple. And when we arrived, we found something we weren't expecting to find.
Oh my god.
He's beautiful.
I've never seen one in the wild before.
Really? They're such weird looking creatures. Oh, so now he's gone into the ground. Look at that.
Spikes.
Look at that. You could not pick that guy up.
Is he in the ground?
No, he's got his nose sticking out. He's looking at me.
Oh my god.
Oh, you're so weird looking. Come on. You gonna bite me?
Yeah, he just doesn't want anything to do with you. I want to see his face.
It's very cute little face. He looks like a dick. Little dick nose.
Yeah.
Little dick nose, mate. See you later, buddy.
Should I give him my sunnies?
Nah, leave him
On his
alone.
head.
And then when night came around, we began the search for sugar gliders. Alright, so that is what we're hoping to find. But the only thing I found was lots and lots of spiders. That is a big fat juicy boy. Man, that's a fucking giant huntsman. And speaking of spiders, all the other animals on this list have been relatively big. But there is so much life in the garden that I can't see and don't interact with besides when I'm squishing them with my feet. A hidden, beautiful, scary world. And before, this tiny world used to be out of my reach, but now, thanks to this $15 piece of plastic made by a slave in China, I'm able to easily teleport to this macro universe, letting me now see creatures more complex and beautiful than anything a sci-fi writer could come up with. Here's a quick collection of the bugs I managed to snap during an hour of searching in my yard.
That's really scary and messed up.
And out of the incredible tiny animals in my yard, jumping spiders are probably my favourite, mostly because they seem intelligent. When you interact and take photos of most bugs, they kind of just stare right past you with this empty-eyed blank NPC look. But not jumping spiders. They actually seem to notice you. They will turn their big, beautiful, furry faces and eyes towards you and kind of rub their face like they're waving hello. No other bug has ever said hello to me. Jumping spiders have 8 individual eyeballs which give them full 360 vision of the world around them, and they use these amazing eyes to hunt their prey, stalking them in a planned and intelligent manner. And you know, if you ever feel bored or lonely, I seriously encourage you to just search for bugs. Just do it. Just pick a spot in your yard, sit down, shut up.
This is actually a very, very true thing. Like, if you do just sit down and just look for bugs, you'd be very surprised what you find. Especially in the United Kingdom, you find like a lot of weird creatures just by sitting and just looking. If you've got like a woodland near you, like a place where there's loads of woods and trees, I would highly recommend people just actually sitting and looking. You'll be very surprised what you can find.
I guarantee you, if you stare at one spot in your garden for long enough, you will find some pretty amazing creatures. And the funnest part of all of this, you have no idea what you're going to see until you take the photo. Like this woman from South Australia who beat me in discovering a new species of jumping spider right in her front yard. Bitch. And the number 1 spot on the list goes to the giant fruit bat.
Oh,
mostly
that
because
looks
I think
cute.
they're very cute and have also received a lot of hate over the last couple of years due to their alleged involvement in a slight worldwide plague caused by bat soup, which I think
Really?
is absolutely ridiculous, as they taste horrible in soup and work much better grilled and then placed in a sandwich.
What are you having?
It's a bat sandwich.
What the hell?
How did COVID
Fruit
start?
bats are
I never really asked. How did COVID start? COVID-19 start? COVID-19 began with an outbreak in Hualien, Hebei, China in December 2019, with the first case conceived. The virus is believed to have a organ transmission from bats or other animals to humans. So someone ate something what they shouldn't have. So that is what I'm hearing. So someone's had something what they shouldn't have. It's not that hard to think.
massive, absolutely gigantic, with a wingspan of over 3 feet.
How you going? Now, I'm sure every single one of you watching has at some point thought about making or selling drugs. And I
Yes.
definitely have, a lot.
One for you, one for me.
But it's illegal, which is why every other YouTuber out there has their boring legal side hustle. Mr. Beast sells crappy chocolates to kids.
Actually,
YouTuber out there has their boring legal side hustle.
the chocolate isn't that bad if you go for the caramel one. Also, the reason why a lot of people don't like it is because it's made out of a lot of vegan products, not random crap. It's actually made out of a lot of vegan products, which is quite nice. I'm slowly getting into veganism because I want to eat better and want to be more healthier. I'm losing weight nicely. But yeah, the Mr. Beast chocolate is still good. Is Mr. Beast still selling it? I'm sure Mr. Beast chocolate still going. Yes, Mr. Beast chocolate Feastables is not only still going, but actively exploring regions, new products as earlier 20. So they are doing more better then. Let's have a look. Oh my god, that's so bright. There's a lot of crap. Pop-ups, pull more pop-ups. Yeah, cool. We have a website exclusively tailored for the UK users. Yep, let's go there. This is another thing. A lot of people are taking the piss, saying this is absolutely horrid. Stop with the pop-ups for a sec. A lot of this chocolate, when you buy it, is actually going to a good cause, and I absolutely respect that. Version 1 was a fail. Version 2 is brilliant. They are actually helping, like the cocoa plants places where people are making chocolate are not respected and are actually not really looked after. It's horrendous, absolutely horrendous. And the fact that this individual is paying actual good market rates and actually helping people, it's just unbelievable. Like, they're making wells and stuff is truly, truly remarkable. What just happened? Okay. Find a store. I don't want to. So these are the new chocolates now? Peanut butter. I've heard peanut butter is really good. Ooh, nope. Peanut butter. Right, let's find a store. That isn't exactly my location. No, I don't want to. There's a reason why I'm using a different location. Feastables, UK price. I haven't had one in years now. That doesn't seem bad. Try Amazon. That's expensive. Just for 4 bars? Yeah, 4 bars. 20 quid? How big are they? 60 gram? That's terrible. That's clearly a knockoff. Yeah, that's going to be sold out into straight away. So I think people are just reselling it now. Here we go. It's basically 2 quid, but that makes sense. Cadbury's is now 2.18 in certain areas. Yeah, this just seems like a normal price. So Feastables is that. If we go to other chocolate bars, so basically 2 quid. Yep. Yeah. Asda's is 2 quid. Fruit and Nut, 2 quid. Yeah. Yeah. It contains soya and milk. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Feastables, did you have any more? Feastables milk chocolate, Feastables milk crunch. I've never had the crunch. I wonder if they're doing good. I wonder if they do a Tesco. €3. No, I can't see it. It's been, like I said, it's been like years since I last seen it. Peanut butter. Oh, we're gonna have to have a little look, aren't we? But yeah, I will admit, like, the old version, which people didn't like, was completely vegan. Now it's only like half vegan, but yeah.
Mr. Beast sells crappy chocolates to kids. Logan Paul.
Prime is okay. It's not the greatest. I was forced to have Prime when I kept getting dehydrated really bad. And there was an element to it which they said, oh, you can have a pill or you can have the drink. So I decided to have the drink. This is when I was really dehydrated. This is when we had a massive heat wave. And water wasn't cutting it. Prime is okay. It's just realistically, I don't know why children keep going towards it. I don't know what Logan's doing. But KSI hasn't forced upon children. But again, I haven't watched KSI in a while.
Sells shitty drinks to kids. Dude Perfect sells clothes, probably made by kids to kids. And Marcus Dribble.
I never heard of Marcus Dribble.
And I don't want to sell shit to kids. I want to sell to the most profitable market out there. Chinese men. Which is why today I'm going to try farming something else that grows right out of the dirt. mud crabs in a mud crab hotel in my garage and see how much money I can make selling them, and then compare it to growing drugs. Okay, now throughout this whole process, I'm going to be tracking all of it. How much money I spend on materials, the crabs, food for them, and how much time and effort it takes. Now, the first thing I'm going to need is crabs, which lucky for me, your mum already gave me, but I need bigger ones. And I live right next to this muddy creek, which based on this sign, I'm guessing there's mud crabs around. And usually you would have to pay for bait, but I'm just going to use this fish I shot earlier. And that's the best thing about fishing. With every fish you catch, you also get a buy one, get one free crab. So after leaving the traps out into the night, I got these undersized crabs, which are perfect to grow in the hotel, but I'm not legally allowed to take them. And I'm looking for crabs that are barely legal, as the idea is that the young ones grow quicker. So at the moment at 500 grams is worth around $20, give or take market value and how hungry the buyer is, but they grow at an amazing rate, meaning this crab could more than double its size in 3 months. So the longer I keep them and feed them and resist eating them, the more money I make. So I kept putting crab traps out and bringing in crabs, and if I caught a fish, I put them back in the trap to catch more crabs. And so far this is looking pretty good. I kind of have a perpetual motion crab trap machine. But after 3 days of crabbing, I only caught 3 crabs. So I bought 7 more from the market. Now I just need somewhere to put them, which I probably should have figured out before my car was filled with crabs. But luckily I do have this fish tank lying around that Alexa and I bought when we wanted to make a Chinese restaurant. So now I just need to buy a bunch of separate drawers. And you're probably wondering, why do you need separate drawers for the crabs? Just chuck them all in the big tank you have. But here's the thing about mud crabs. They are dickheads. And if left by themselves, they'll commit every crime known to man on each other, including cannibalism, incest, genocide, and even grand theft auto. So I need to keep these creepy guys apart. The drawers also make giving them an even amount of food easier and makes cleaning the tanks easy. And I don't know if this is going to work, but I installed these tap things in each drawer that will make the water level equal in each of them and circulate all the water. Okay, and usually when setting up a tank, you need to spend months being an autistic fish nerd getting the right bacteria to grow in the tank, which will eat all the crab shit before you add your animals. But I reckon if I just steal a bunch of rocks and water from the river they came from, I won't have to do that, as the rocks are already covered in good bacteria. Also, stealing the water means I don't have to buy any salt or muck around with pH or anything. Not a suspicious looking barrel at all. But after talking about how smart I am for stealing rocks, I also added this biomedia and bacteria starter kit just because it can't hurt, which cost me around $100.
I woke up with a bit of adventure.
So far, I've spent $100 on the filter, $40 on the drawers, $120 on the heaters.
I'm sorry. Where did that come from? Oh. My iPad's still on. I do not accept this. No. It's off. It's over there now.
$250 on the crabs, $100 on these taxidermy Ninja Turtle frogs, and the piping and stuff I stole from Bunnings, so I'm $610 in the hole. Which, when you compare
Bunnings
that to buying
is,
a
I keep
small
hearing
grow
it.
house system, it's much cheaper so far. But I don't know if the
Why is
system
there so
gonna
much
work.
deer
And the
over
idea
there?
is all the crab waste comes out through the bottom here into these sponges which catch all the big stuff. Then it goes through all this porous rock filled with good bacteria that eat all the piss and shit. Then it goes over the river rocks and gravel and back up here and just repeats, which doesn't work, as the water comes out of the pump a lot quicker than it can get out of these holes. And now the drawer is overfilling. So I just poked some holes in the pipe until the flow level went down, which was actually my plan all along, as it also aerates the water. Okay, I can finally get the crabs out of my car. And after almost losing a finger getting all 10 crabs into all the drawers, I remembered I need to take them all out again to weigh them. And the first guy came in very heavy at 1,077 grams, which is too fat. But the creek I got him from doesn't have a good return policy, so hopefully I can still make him gain weight. So the total weight of them is 8.25 kilos, with the biggest crab weighing 1,077 grams and the smallest being 605 grams.
So the heavier the weigh, the more money he makes. So why is the first one so bad that it's not good? Surely that would be just as good, right?
So my money is on the smallest guy gaining the most weight. Alright, let me tell you the specs of this baby. This right here is a water-cooled mud crab. Tolerates between 19 and 29 degrees water. You can pay extra for the protection plan, which gives you metal calcium armor, meaning they are super hardy and come with a 6-month money-back guarantee. These babies will eat whatever you give them. Prawns, fish, carrots, their own poo, literally anything. And with this 10-core Deca system, I should be doubling my money in no time. What I've also kind of created by accident is the crab version of the human centipede. See, the guy on the top is alright, but the guy below him gets all his piss and shit, then this guy gets all their piss and shit, and it just repeats all the way down. It's just a big piss and shit hotel, kind of like the Hilton in Sydney. Alright, a lot of them seem quite stressed out, especially the 7 I bought from the Sydney fish market. And the conditions at the market really weren't great. The crabs were piled on top of each other in styrofoam boxes in a hot room, with lots of kids lined up to poke the crabs in the eyes. Plus they weren't eating and they were drying out. So I thought a bit of food might help them. So I cut up some salmon I speared into slices and gave it a go. And according to these Indonesian men online, I am meant to follow the American diet and feed them 10% of their body weight a day, which for most of the crabs is 80 grams. The equivalent of me eating 9 kilos a day. So this guy grabbed it and started eating straight away, but the others weren't interested. But I thought they might be shy, so I turned off the lights and left them overnight. Wakey, wakey. And in the morning I was hoping to see the remaining food missing. That guy didn't eat his food. Guy what? Yes he is. That guy didn't eat his food. But something else went missing. A whole ass crab. It must have squeezed out of this gap, which I should have closed. How? He totally just crawled away. Where he could be. It's probably under here. There's a crab under here. No. He probably got out. He's in here. He's in here. Oh my god. And I'm really lucky that I found the crab, and he didn't do the most obvious thing and slip under the garage door. Crawl down the road, hop on a bus, and go to the RSPCA, where it reports me for crimes against crabs. Instead, it just sat next to the heater in the sump tank all night. So only 4 of the crabs ate their food, so I cleaned out all the gunk, which there's actually heaps of, and now my whole garage kind of smells like a fish shop. Okay, after letting them chill out for like 6 hours, I decide to feed them again. But I'm going to try something fancier to see if they like it. The same fish, but this time it's more...
Just give me a quick sec. Big cam. Well, I'm a bit wham. Let's just fix that scaling. Yes. Put me there. Hey, give me a minute. Oh, the gear posted something new. Cool. It is cool. Will you not see anything? Yeah, you will. Cool. Okay. Dead quick. Can I close this? Yes. I would like you, sir. Ah, I cannot cut. I would like you to be behind me. Because now, if I do that... Jake, are you happy now? Oh no, that's too big. Better? Are you happy, sir? I hate the fact this has now become a tradition.
stinky. And I really thought it would be easier to get mud crabs to eat, but some of them would only eat if I hold the food in front of their face for like 10 seconds and just wiggle it around. And more crabs ate their food, probably like 6 out of 10. All 3 from the creek are eating, but 4 of the market ones don't want to. And the market ones actually seem to hate food so much that they trick me into thinking they're going to eat it. Then when I look away, they just push the food into the corner. Especially this fat guy on the top, who hasn't touched his food at all and barely moves. Alright, the fish and piss smell was getting way too strong, so I turned on this fan, which I stole from a marijuana grow house, and tried feeding them again. But this time I'm going to rub garlic on the fish, as I heard somewhere that they like the stinkiness. And as soon as I gave the fish to this guy, he started doing a handstand for some reason. They do weird shit sometimes. Guy doing a handstand. And by some miracle it worked. For every crab except the traumatized guy. But at least he is moving around a lot more. And you know, I'm already learning stuff about crabs that I didn't know. Like I had no idea that when they eat, the big claws just hold the food in front of their face, and then like a scene from a horror movie, 6 tiny little hands come out of their face and start ripping apart the food, which is very similar to how Americans eat. And the piss smell just keeps getting worse. It's like a wet market in here. So I stole 200 litres from Sydney Harbour, sucked all the crab shit into my mouth,
Is he allowed to do that?
and then changed the water. And I don't
That's
know if
also
Sydney
gross.
Harbour's water is the healthiest, as it's filled with microplastics and heavy metals. But if I'm already filled with microplastics, then I want the crabs to be as well. And all the crabs seem to be getting much more lively, and they're attacking me every time I try to feed them. And I thought that after feeding them for 5 days, there would be a little bit more respect. But then again, I am keeping them captive in tiny drawers in a piss hotel, so maybe not. Okay, before we go any further with the mud crabs, let me tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Udu. Managing these mud crabs is life. To be water inside this tank and not just burnt heating filaments.
Ground is obviously been wet, and I don't know if you can tell, but all this metal is rusty. How does my lathe get that rusty? Wet over here, wet over there, wet over here. What happened?
And I'm guessing what happened was that either a crab or his food got stuck inside the water outlet and then the drawer filled up. And I say that because there is currently a piece of food stuck inside the water outlet.
One piece of meat gets stuck on the pipe, the whole garage.
Days. And there's a valuable lesson in this, kids. Don't go away camping for 2 days and let your younger brother look after your mud crabs. So I stole some more water from the...
I don't really want to watch this anymore. I'm not interested in mud crabs. I'm sorry.
There you go. Check out this tree and see if you can spot something I didn't before I bought this place. It's burnt. Every single tree here is burnt. And that's real bad, as some idiot made all of them out of wood. You know what's also made out of wood? My new house. So what am I going to do if a bushfire does rip through the property? Or even worse, what if there are marauders? Could I survive by hiding in your normal household objects like your bathtub? Or am I just cooked? Alright, now I'm picking 3 things to attempt to survive in. And the first is the bathtub. And it makes sense if you don't think about it very hard. It's made out of steel, it's wet, and it's a contained space.
Oh, did he
There was a
actually
really
test
interesting
them out?
article published by a fire coroner that showed that around 50% of people that die in their house are located in their bathroom and even the bathtub. And I don't think that's because they were dropping their kids off at the pool when the fire came through. It's probably because it feels like the safer room filled with less flammable objects than my garage. So I'm going to do the best case scenario and get a cast iron bathtub filled with water and then put a wet towel on top. My flawed logic here is if water filters smoke in a bong, surely it will work with a wet towel in a bath. Next we got your fridge. Well, not your fridge. I couldn't work out where you live. I'm getting the exact fridge from the Indiana Jones
Britain.
movie where Harrison Ford hid in it and survived a nuclear blast and then got shingles. And fridges are a pretty common movie escape trope, but I'm not sure there is anything safe about them as they are covered in toxic
shingles?
plastic, have a compressor, and are usually filled with stinky fish. Then for all you Americans, we have a fireproof gun safe, and it's got walls made out of steel and gyprock, which is meant to insulate it and keep the temperature under 150 degrees. And this sounds a lot better than a fridge, but I don't know, as even if you don't die from the heat, unlike the guns in the safe, you need oxygen to survive. And to make this test slightly scientific, I'm going to put a thermometer in each with an oxygen and a CO2 reader, so we will know exactly how effective they are. But first, I'm going to do a small scale test. And this ain't looking good for the mini bath, as after only a minute of this tiny house being on fire, the water was already boiling, but maybe it'll be different with a bigger bath. For the fireproof safe, I made this box, which is gyprock mined straight from the source, some felt, and then sheet metal. And this is pretty promising. I kept this flame against it for like 10 minutes, and the heat inside didn't go up at all.
And inside is cold.
But I don't think we learned anything from this small test, except not to give a 3-year-old a powerful laser.
Ow! Okay.
Which means I need a real house to burn. Heads, I burn down this house. Tails, I need to make one.
Yes!
So the first step in building a house is getting 2 mates to do all the work. Dan and Liam. Dan builds houses for hippies in the mountains, and Liam is a professional architect with a YouTube channel. Mates that have different names will also work for building a house. So if anything goes wrong, we all know who's at fault. And at first I thought I'd spend $1,000 on wood, but why would I do that when I can buy a $2,500 chainsaw and then spend an hour ruining the bar to make an Alaskan mill, which allows you to turn anything wooden into more wood. You know what they say, give a man a stinky fish and he'll eat it, but give a man a chainsaw and he'll be eating stinky fish for life. But I did forget that the wood of this tree is still very wet, and the same with the giant gum tree that fell down on the property. So this ain't going to make good building material or burn very well. So instead we stole the neighbour's trailer and headed down to the local tip.
Alright, let's jack it up and take it. Yeah, I like that. I mean, you can't really hide in a dunny though. Maybe you could hide a baby in a dunny.
And after almost getting into a fight with a man about a hoe...
You got the hoe?
That's fine.
Yeah. Oh, hoe's on the house. Enjoy your hoe.
We somehow got everything we needed to burn, including a Chubb fireproof safe, a fridge, and a cast iron bath, all from one tip. Unfortunately, the tip didn't have much good wood though, but we met some tradies who gave us some free concrete formwork. So then we pointed at a plan and worked out that the tradies' wood was not going to be enough. So we also had to buy some pine for the walls and frame. And we tried to get the untreated stuff, but there is still some pretty nasty chemicals in plywood, similar to cigarettes. And I mean exactly the same as cigarettes. And we are kind of just making our own version of an IKEA burnable house, where we pre-make all the walls in the neighbour's garage and then hopefully can just walk them over and nail them in place. And the first wall looks like a floor, but that's because it's on the floor and not on the wall. Then the other walls came together perfectly. So once we had a big stack of walls, we moved on to the floor, which we were going to make in one giant piece. And I can't tell you how long I've wanted to use one of these. Like legally, I signed an NDA and I can't, but it's my new favorite tool. And it's crazy to think that a tool company watched my hammer gun video and made a more functional version of it. And we did forget about the weight of the floor and almost made it too heavy to move. And after an hour of moving panels to the top of the hill, we realized we could have just made everything up there. And you would think that with the combined brainpower of a YouTuber, architect, and builder, that this whole build would come together smoothly, and we would be able to get the basics like wall dimensions right. But somehow we either stuffed up the floor or the wall. So we took it back down and weren't pissed off at all.
Pull it off.
throughout this whole building process, there was a constant feeling of everything being completely pointless. Like usually the things I make are useless, but I've never put this much effort into something whose only purpose is to be destroyed. Which resulted in Dan, Liam and I constantly arguing about what to do. I wanted zero effort, Liam wanted it to just stand upright, and Dan thought we were actually building him a real house. And we didn't want to break the illusion and tell him we were burning it all down, so we let him do a fancy thing called bird mouths on the rafters. And look, I'll tell you a secret. Some of my other subscribers have been saying some pretty nasty stuff about you. They said, Paul, you're a nice guy, but you're real stupid, and you don't know what a bird's mouth is. They also said some stuff about your sister, but we all know that's true. So Paul, a bird's mouth is this joint right here, and it's for the rafters so they sit nicely on the walls. And it makes no difference at all, but remember Dan thinks this is actually his house.
Not correct?
Incorrect.
Incorrect. What's happened? Doesn't reach?
Well, no. Not by a long shot.
So we tried for an hour or two to make one, but couldn't even get one of them right. So we just called it a day and went fishing.
Yeah, tools down, we're going fishing.
Let's go. Let's get out of here.
And look at that. It's the sponsor of today's video, Odoo. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that provides with advanced solution to manage. You're doing the picking and pack batch of that clip to the time your West app is, and that worked this. And that worked this time. So we cut a billion more and then just slapped on the roof. Then nibbled some tin sheet before slapping that on.
How can you not know if you're circumcised though?
I'm pretty sure I am. I just don't want to make my dad feel uncomfortable asking.
And there we go. There was only one more thing to make.
Alright, let me check. Don't put the drill back in.
And now the cabin is done. But I forgot something pretty major. There might, maybe, possibly, definitely be a total fire ban. So we can't legally light it on fire. And usually I would do it anyway, but people aren't going to be happy if I set the whole area on fire while making a video about fire safety, which means we're going to have to wait a month for the fire ban to end and also get permission from the fireman. And that's also the end of Liam and Dan. So go check out Liam's YouTube channel where he makes things slightly better than I do on his channel Morosi Makes.
Okay, 1 month later. It's moldy and wet. We're gonna have to dry it out somehow.
What the fuck is that? Is it that thing? Oh, we'll be watching that in a sec.
The cabin is fairly dry now, so we waited for a non-windy night when my mates were feeling pretty hungry.
There's a chicken in there.
Yeah, there's a chicken.
Oh.
Would you like to write anything nice on the walls?
No, I'd like to put that. I'd like to put that over here.
Tell me where you want to put it, please.
Right here. Step ladder into the.
Ruins the shot.
No, it doesn't.
Also, who has a bathtub in their living room with their safe? All of this is wrong already.
Not everyone's a rich YouTuber. Some people have to live like this.
So inside the fridge, safe, and bath, I put some chickens, thermometer, and an oxygen reader. And the sensors aren't fireproof,
Nice
but
peanuts.
they don't need to be, because if they melt, we'll know it was hot. And here are my predictions. The fridge chicken is going to be completely gone, bath chicken is going to boil, and I reckon the chicken in the safe might survive, but will suffocate.
Smells good. Is it going all over your feet?
Is it? Is that enough?
Scissors, paper, rock. Scissors, paper, rock.
Chili.
Julie, you got it. You got limited time.
Oh!
Whoa!
To the bathtub.
And I'm not sure why we had so much trouble lighting this cabin full of petrol, so I tried again with my favourite cocktail.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Molotov.
Holy.
And place your bets now on what's going to happen to me when I run into the cabin to get the intro shot of me running out. A, I get burnt. B, I find a penny. And C, I forgot that I shattered glass on the ground and cut open my foot.
I say glass.
Should put on the.
That's bad. That's really bad.
What?
You know what I completely forgot about?
What?
The fact that that is filled with glass.
Oh.
I've got a really deep cut on the bottom.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, it's bad. Yeah, it's a pretty good cut.
It's a good cut.
Okay.
So after patching up my foot and putting on shoes, we refilled the cabin with petrol and tried again.
No, not is that meant to happen, Jimmy?
Yeah.
Yep, we're out. I reckon we do it.
I think hands the only way. Right?
Whoa!
Whoa! What the?
And you don't need me to explain what just went wrong there, but I'm lucky, stupidly lucky.
I was like, yeah, you should probably go light it by hand. Oh yeah, we don't want to be too close to this.
Have a guess as to what temperature it is inside.
2000.
I like to build from this angle. Holy fuck. Dude, it's over 600 degrees in there. You can feel the heat from here.
Yeah, it's just hot.
What the?
Gotta watch out for everything around here. I mean, we can't.
Really watch out.
Wait. Could we, yeah, I don't think that water's gonna do anything. We call the wait, grab that, whatever that is down there.
Careful, careful. Holy, I did not think it would be that hot.
Dude, this is not good.
This is not good.
Should we just start spraying it?
Alright, the cabin is going up quickly. It was already over 700 degrees Celsius. And it's so hot that we had absolutely no chance of putting this out, even if we wanted to. We couldn't get within 10 meters of it.
You're doing a good job.
And you know, previously when I saw the houses of celebrities and influencers burn down, I didn't care. But knowing it could happen to me and seeing how hard it was to control this small burn has definitely encouraged me to get some firefighting equipment of my own.
Oh, here we go.
Which is really good that we picked a wet day with no wind, as the fire still seems contained. But if the wind picks up and these embers change direction, we could be in a lot of trouble.
Well, I think that's the worst of it.
So the first thing to go was the roof, which knocked the bathtub through the floor. And I sound like an idiot saying this, but I just couldn't believe how hot the fire was. So I'm changing my prediction. No chicken is surviving this. So after we let it burn for an hour, which is a much shorter time than a real house would be on fire, we started putting it out. And it wasn't looking good for the bath chickens or the fridge chickens.
Water's boiling in the left side, but you just get
Boiled alive. Okay, well that's, I mean, I feel like we don't need to check on the chickens at this point. Like, there's a pretty certain thing here.
Well, you know what? I'm feeling a little bit dumb for ever thinking that there might be something to this video at all.
Let me get the plate in there as well. Oh,
actually looks well cooked.
that looks delicious.
But it's just, whoa.
It tastes like lobster.
It's so moist.
And somehow the chickens tasted amazing, even with the aftertaste of burnt towel. But before we open up the fridge and safe, we're going to wait till it cools down in the morning. The most impressive thing about this is not the fire, but the fact that the bathtub fell through the floor and still stayed upright.
How did the bathtub land exactly on its
Yeah,
leg?
it like Looney Tuned. And also look, this is the fridge chicken.
Oh, you can see it.
Yeah, look how good that looks.
Wait, pick it up. Oh!
So crispy.
Okay, so don't hide in the fridge.
Don't hide in the fridge.
Oh,
It actually looks pretty, almost a little bit good.
Ooh, you don't know the combination to the safe.
What? The knobs melted. That was metal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
This looks delicious. Where did the thermometer go? You can't negotiate with a fire.
You can't argue with it.
You just have to get as far away from it as possible.
You know, if there is actually a bushfire, the only thing to do is get out of there, as that's the only way to actually stay safe. But definitely chuck some chickens in the bath, as you'll have the most delicious chicken dinner to come back to.
That's absolutely nuts. So, time I've been sitting here thinking, Aussie Land had like loads of fires. And it's just mad to think that, Jordan, words, it's mad to think that all the fires really went massively happened in Aussie Land. They just struggled to put out a small cabin. Not even a cabin, a shed. And he got very lucky, because didn't he just say the grass around him was dry? Like, very dry. So, next, actually, I've been looking forward to this, putting a homemade jet engine on a swing.
How you going? You ever seen
Oh my god, is that space flight?
the Space Shuttle Challenger launch? It was sick, and successfully launched 7 astronauts into the sky. And I want to do that, with a jet engine on a swing. But I don't have enough space to do all the big dumb projects I want to do. Until now, and I've bought my dream house, and even paid extra to get a kitchen, 2 bathrooms, and high ceilings. And look at all this space. It's such a liberating feeling being able to chuck a rock anywhere you want, where the only thing I have to worry about hitting is an endangered bird. I own that tree, and that tree, and that tree, this log, and even this poo.
Oh.
This 100 acres of pristine Aussie bush is filled with beautiful animals and plants, and also has more than enough room for a jet engine on a swing, which might just burn the whole place down. So despite what people say, making a jet engine is actually pretty easy. See this jar with a hole in the top? It's not only a flashlight, but a jet engine. Don't believe me? Watch. Yeah. No. Alright, you're just going to have to believe me. And that's the simplest version, and then the jars get more and more complex.
To do so, you're going to need like a leaf blower. The tube's got to be like a croissant shaped. No, macaroni and cheese shaped, like a big C. And propane. I remember propane being a big thing. It's all about the expansion and size, if I'm correct. Again, my science is very, very rough nowadays. But it's still up there. And the amount of inertia that will create and draft. Why don't we just carry on watching and have a look?
Complicated, like this and this. But despite how much these people
Yo,
try to convince
sick.
you, no one actually knows how they work. And all these scientists, they're just going along with it, as they don't want to seem dumb and ask the wrong questions and lose their job. Which is why I'm not going to complicate things and get anyone fired, and just make a pulse jet, which is essentially a metal version of this broken jar. You have the combustion chamber here, which when the gas ignites, it pushes
There we go.
out here and here. But because the gas takes longer to come out of this section, it pulses back in or something and the ignition continues for some reason. And this unexplainable process gives you heaps of thrust, like enough to become a Nazi and bomb England from over 400 k's away, which is perfect for me. So I'm going to copy famous Englishman Colin Furze, as his pulse jet looks fairly simple, but I've decided to upscale my design by exactly 1% just so I can say it's bigger than his. Also, I haven't figured out the swinging part yet. I'll just work that out later. Alright, I started by cutting out this 1.6mm sheet metal, which for those following along at home is this big. But now I have to turn this flat piece into a round section.
Ratchet straps are the best way to do that.
The first piece didn't
Get
go
a
well.
circle object and then just put ratchet straps around it.
Neither did the second. But after using the vise, I eventually got this, which I tacked together. Then I cut out and rolled these tailpipe sections, which was a little harder.
Bend you, nigga. Yes, yes. I'm fine.
But eventually I got this together by using the most ratchet of straps
There we
to
go.
pull it. So after tacking it together, I need to weld everything up. And after doing a practiced weld on some scrap to make sure I don't screw it up,
Pretty good.
I'm good to go. And this was a lot of welding, and really made me realize how bad I am at following plans. I don't think I ever successfully welded a piece first go, and it was a long process of welding and cutting my own welds and putting them back down, and then using a hammer to persuade the pieces into place. And eventually I got these two pieces and a mad welding tan. So after I ground down one of the edges on the missile-shaped piece, I welded it to the trumpet piece. And nothing I do comes together without gaps. But the good thing about having the worst welds on the internet is that I can just fill the gaps with more ugly welds and no one expects anything less. But I'm pretty happy. The welds are mostly solid, except for here where I welded around my thumb. And also the whole thing is slightly off center, but it shouldn't matter. Now I just need to run the fuel line. So I got this pipe and welded a bolt in the end to make it airtight, then drilled some holes to make it air loose for the gas to come out. But these aren't randomly placed holes. They are very special. I'm hoping that if I put the holes in the same direction as the nozzle, when I crank up the gas, it will pull in the air in a phenomena called the Vitruvian Man, which will ignite and hopefully
It won't self-stain. It won't. A, there's not enough oxygen, and B, how the tube is created in this certain shape and form. The mathing. To do that, you need like an extensionally big pipe. And not even that, the oxygen needs to be pure and fresh and fast and rapid. Which, if I'm correct, the Aussie land does not have any of that.
Start and eliminate me needing a leaf blower like all these idiots. Like Colin
You will be
Furs
using it.
has made over 10 of these pulse jets and never made a self-igniting one, which is just embarrassing. And there you go, the pipe should be in the center of the inlet, which it looks like it is. So
Nice,
time to give it a first go. And I'm slightly concerned that the pulse jet might just melt itself as it's only made out of mild steel. If I was a better welder, I would have made it out of stainless steel, just like this beautiful card from Revolut. Revolut is an all-in-one financial super app designed to simplify your money. They've got all you need in one easy-to-use app, including this beautiful card. And together, it makes managing my Australian dollar down. Create can always annoy Revolut. I can go through the card to virtual here, meaning change the app, travel, gas.
My welds aren't the best. I can see sunlight coming through.
Ready?
Yep.
That was weird.
And nothing happened.
Oh,
Okay, turn it off.
this says like maybe a safety shutoff.
So we removed the pesky safety valve put in by the government to throttle your Saturday night barbecuing experience and tried again with just a sparkler in the combustion chamber.
Yeah, it's in there. Whoa. Raise it more.
More.
Yeah. Oh no. Okay, turn it up.
And it's not self-starting, so we tried with a leaf blower.
My junior inside. I don't want
Yeah.
smoking.
That's plain baby.
Ah!
Ready?
Yep.
And it started to rumble but still wouldn't kick. And I think my holes are the problem, or the lack of them. So I drilled some more and turned it perpendicular to the inlet and welded that in. I also fixed some of the leaking holes in the combustion chamber. And I do owe Colin an apology. I've also failed to make a self-starting pulse jet engine. You're not an idiot, we both are. I'm still convinced you're making a sex dungeon under your house though.
It started.
I heard it.
It
I
started.
got scared. I turned it off.
Try.
Wait, what do I do when it's at that sound?
When it actually goes boom, you'll see. I'll move away, leave it for like a second, unless it like flies. If it starts to move, turn it
If
off.
it starts to move, I'm not going to be here, Alex.
No, if it starts to. Whoa, that was it.
I don't like it.
It did it.
I don't like it.
Oh.
I don't like it.
You saw it move?
Yes.
And that time it sounded like it was about to go, but my housemate was too scared and kept turning it off. So I got back my mate, who doesn't care as much about our safety, and gave it another go.
That is fucked. That is so loud. That is fucked.
I don't think you should stop running that.
Holy.
Cut it off now, Alex.
Yeah, too loud.
And we only had that on for a couple of seconds, but it was still the loudest thing my poor ears and neighbours' ears have ever had come inside them. It also made me stim for some reason. It was around 140 decibels, which is louder than a passenger plane taking off right here on my deck. And the simplicity of this is beautiful. No moving parts, just sheet metal in the shape of a trumpet with a barbecue gas bottle. There is really no reason for every man, woman and child watching right now not to go and make one of these. They are seriously the most fun you can have as a...
I wonder about the physics. I wonder how the physics work. Because this is a propane. Propane's still going in. But there's no more oxygen getting to it unless it's coming through here and sucking it in. Or it's sucking it in through here with a natural strain.
14-year-old living in a crowded urban neighborhood. But I reckon if I ran this any longer, the cops would come and take it for themselves to play with. So I'm stopping. All right, I don't want to continue using sparklers to ignite this thing. I want to feel more fancy and have buttons. And I could use an ignition coil to light it, but I thought it would be more fun to use a taser. And here's a hot tip for you kids. Tasers are illegal in Australia, but you can still buy them. They're just called cattle prods, which is illegal unless you have animals to prod. But in all seriousness, I'm getting chickens on the property, so I'm going to need this. So all I did was bypass the battery and switch it of the taser and connect it to this relay. And now when I press this button, it should work.
Yep.
And kids, once again, this is the perfect setup if you want to make a bomb. And then weld it in the spark plug.
This is the great thing about being a bad welder. We can hook cables onto them. Look at that. Okay, when I press this, we should hear it go off. Why do I hear gas? We should see this go off. Yes. Yes.
All right, now if I'm sitting on the jet engine, I can turn the gas on and off. But what happens if I fly off, or even worse, what if my clothes fly off? Then I won't have a way to stop the jet engine from flying out of control. So I'm going to make it wireless. So I bought this solenoid and this brass fitting that precisely don't fit my gas pipe. So I just welded it.
That does not work.
And I melted the brass. So instead I cut off some hose and stuck that on the end as an adapter, which works nicely. And now I also have the world's first lockable childproof bomb.
What?
What's this?
What do you mean?
Alex, I thought we said you wouldn't have any more drug paraphernalia in the house.
I didn't make it.
Alex, this is in the garage.
I did not.
Said you were not.
I did not make this.
What do you mean?
I didn't make it. He made it.
Is this true? He did it?
He did it. And now when I press this button, gas should come out. And this is weird. I can hear it, but I can't see it. So either there's a snake in the pipe or the guy gave me invisible gas.
Oh, me.
Okay, the ignition works well. And after pissing off everyone in the neighborhood with the noise of this thing, you'd think I'd stop here. But no, I want to be in a Neighbours from Hell episode. So I'm going to make a thrust augmenter. And it's a funnel thing that goes on either one of the exhausts, and for some reason it's meant to add more thrust. But again, it's one of those things in the rocket world where people say it works, but no one can tell me how. Like if this actually worked, surely I could just stack another augmenter on this one, and then another, and another, and another, and get ever increasing
It's a
thrust.
vacuum tube doing it.
So let's give it a go, but this time not in the suburbs. Alright, the self-ignition doesn't work, and I can't get it to start with the augmenter, as it's in the way of the blower. So I just cut it off, and gave that a go, which still didn't work. But then I realised it was because I was out of gas. So I cut off the augmenter for no reason. And after getting a new bottle, we gave it another go. And I have heard whispers on the internet that if I tip the gas bottle upside down, something magical
Wouldn't the glass break because of the vibrations?
will happen. And that liquid propane really makes it sound angry and seems like it increases the thrust. Doing it at night seemed to help the thrust as well.
That was still on. I didn't realise I didn't turn it off.
Oh my god, look how red it's hot it's getting.
Now, it's time to move the pulse jet to the top of the hill.
Okay, just do not hit a tree, otherwise your head is gone.
Alright, now to work out the swing. And this can't be like your mum's sex swing. I need it to not fall apart under my weight. And originally I wanted to build 2 A-frames and have the swing on that, but I don't trust my welding enough. So I'm going to use God's A-frames, trees, which are super strong and don't fall over. And these two are in the perfect position, with a clearing on this side, and on the other side, a nice bushy cliff covered in dry grass. So I got this pipe, which has walls 3 mil thick, and secured it in place with these bearings, which I definitely remembered to put on the pipe the first time. And I don't know if these bearings are strong enough, but I also don't care. Then I just welded some arms on the top of the engine with support running to the frame, which is made out of steel, as I've heard it's good at holding up against jet fuel. And the reason I need the extra support is if I just secure it on the top like this, I'm sure that spinning jet engine will just peel itself apart. So instead I have the arms running to the frame and then the frame running all the way to the bottom. Then also just reinforced all the welds while also making sure I keep the camera in a way where it doesn't reveal the location of my property to any of you freaks. Alright, now to see if it fits, which it does if I leave my car here, but now I'm stuck.
What are we going to do? Deflate the tyres.
I think we'll deflate the tyres.
Let's see.
We're free!
And if I just tried to run it like this, I don't think it would do 360s, as it would probably just get to like 45 degrees and then just stop. So originally I thought I could get like 5 meters of spear gun rubber and slingshot it to start it off. But then I realized I should just copy what I did in my intro and put a counterweight on top so it really wants to spin.
Too much leverage when you lift your arms out.
Maybe if I go
And if you guys have never experienced having a steel pole in between your cheeks while also holding 20 kilos above your head, you definitely have to try it. It's a fantastic feeling. When I got down though, we realized we could have just rotated the jet to put the weights on. Also, I realized another thing about the spinning I didn't consider. When the jet engine is upside down, it's going to run on liquid propane. So it'll be cycling between liquid and gas, giving it a lot more thrust, but will also put a lot of stress on the solenoid, which is not meant to run on cold liquid propane, which means it could blow up or get stuck in the open position, which is why I got rid of the Chinese solenoid and switched it with this beefy one. And it being Chinese has nothing to do with it. This one just has a bigger hole. Then I just bolted on a chair for me to sit on and put the electronics in a box. And it's done. And after a visit to the car park of an event cinema movie theatre, I should have enough fire extinguishers to do the first test. But just to be sure we don't burn everything down, we also stole the neighbour's generator and made a firefighting setup. And there's nothing left but to do it. And this is probably the most scared I've ever been before turning on one of my dumb devices.
So what's our plan? Our plan is do it, and we're both running just and hiding behind that tree.
Yeah, behind that tree there.
And it wouldn't start, even though nothing has changed since we did the other tests.
You changed the solenoid because you set the pressure to a smaller value. You've now changed it to a higher value. So therefore, it will not pressurize enough because it's too much gas. You need little less gas. That is my scientific knowledge.
So we tried different sized gas bottles, thinking that that could have been the issue. And we also tried moving the bottle position around.
Fire in the hole!
What did that happen?
Better cuts out top. Yeah.
And even though we got it started once, it wouldn't stay on. So we tried a couple more times.
I don't know, is this a good idea?
But then called it a night and decided to try again in the morning with a plan. So in the morning we got up and went to a car dealership and installed a TV for them.
We did a much better job at this than the jet engine. First go.
Can I get a picture?
Of course, yeah.
Then, once we had done that, we tried the jet engine again.
That's so adorable. Can I get a picture? Why?
Which still wouldn't work. But then we realized that the solenoid was probably the problem. As you know how earlier I said that nothing had changed from our stationary test before? One thing did, the length of this hose, which doesn't seem like it would make a difference, but because it's shorter now, there might be less resistance on the solenoid and the gas can pass through easier. So we did something you're definitely not meant to do and put a kink in the gas pipe, which will hopefully build up more pressure and force the solenoid to open.
Yes, it would work, but
all
you
the
could have
way.
got a safety valve and just halving it.
And that was the best so far, but I want it to spin for as long as we tell it to. So we crimped the hose a little harder and gave it another go.
Credit where credit's due, it works. I just realised, what's the point
And
in
that
this?
worked so much better than I could have ever hoped. Nothing broke, blew up, or got burnt, and it spun continuously until we switched
That
it off.
Ford
So we
truck's
tried again,
beautiful.
but this time with the bottle fully tilted so it runs on liquid for longer.
Am I Mr. Sparkler?
Sparkle. That's been the magic touch, so let's keep with it.
That wood looks all dry, and so does the grass. Wouldn't that catch on fire if any
And
spillage?
that was significantly louder and faster than the others, but it still wasn't running on liquid the whole time. You could hear it going on and off. And I think it's because it's spinning, the liquid is getting pulled to the bottom edge like water in a bucket and not coming out. So we waited till night and decided to try a new tank with more liquid propane in it and give that a go.
Stop.
Yeah, go.
No, it was spraying liquid propane onto you. Get away from it,
And we almost set ourselves on fire, so we tried again with the bottle at 45 degrees. And then we almost blew the jet engine up. So we tried one last time before finally getting the shot I wanted, and also letting you hear the drop of this song.
What is this song? Feels night ravey.
That was epic! That initial burst, it almost stopped and there was...
It's
And
firing
this is
out
by
a lot of
far the
flames.
best thing I've ever made and most fun I've ever had filming a video. But there's also zero chance I'm ever going to sit on this thing. Go
That
make
thing's
a Pulse Jet,
dangerous, man.
kids, and do it yourself. Thank you.
No, I would recommend not doing that. If you did not see, that thing was leaking. Bad, it was leaking. He didn't use any safety valves or anything. Like, I will admit, this project is kind of cool, but at the same time, there is so much do not... Ooh. I'm going to put you in my save list. Sorry, I just saw that in my peripheral. It is... It is a cool science experiment, but I wouldn't recommend other people doing it. I can see other people being absolute idiots doing it.
There you go. So there's this common myth that if someone drops a penny from the Empire State Building, that by the time it hits the ground, it'll be going so fast that it can kill a guy. And Mythbusters tested this, and so did Veritasium, and they both said that it's false, as coins will fall on their flat side and won't be travelling fast enough to do any damage. But they are forgetting something. If it was me standing on top of the Empire State Building throwing pennies off doing the world's cheapest terrorist...
Don't really want to watch this. I'm just going to be honest. What's cool? This looks cool. I'm not going to lie. Some of them just don't intrigue me. He starts off and then I just feel like it's fading. But this looks cool. Hang on, flamethrower. That sounds even cooler. I've had that before. That's horrible. No.
How you going? I'm still in lockdown, and I'm bored. Really bored.
Wait, was this in lockdown? Oh, it was.
So bored, I've been finding ways to make mundane activities more of a challenge and dangerous. But so far...
No! Don't do that. Don't do that.
I haven't found anything exciting enough. But then I saw the experts. Mexicans. So today, I'm going to make my version.
Oh, isn't it like a festival? That's a festival, isn't it? I remember seeing something about this. Because didn't someone, like, use a sledgehammer and missed about that much and, like, a couple of people's faces got damaged? Because of the shrapnel? I'm recording about that.
Mexicans. So today, I'm going to make my version of their hammer. And even though I'm thoroughly sick of lockdown and being unable to do stuff, luckily today's sponsor, NordVPN, allows me to travel the world wherever I want.
Shouting.
Here are some photos of me on my recent trip to Paris. And here's me in New York Key. I've been a Nord customer for years and love the fact that it's easy to use with a single click, allowing me to access over 5,200 servers in 60 countries that give behind its sick of Singapore. Open the map most out of the thing to get a 2-year plan plus 4 additional.
Do we do a video on history and historian? History and historian. History historian. Who is history historian? No, that's not it. Okay, I'll quickly look for this. I'll just grab a tab and just bring it over here. Where did I put that tab? I put that tab over here there quick, and I'll let you
additional months with a huge discount. So, what are you waiting for? Go use my link in the description now and go start surfing all over the world today. Alright, now some of you probably already know I'm not the first to copy the Mexicans with explosive hammers, and an Australian company, Ramset, beat me to it making this, which is used to drive nails through brick and metal. And I could just buy one of these, but look at that price, $1,000. I'm definitely better off making my own. So, the first thing I did was buy a $2,000 lathe. Okay, so this is my plan. I've collected all the scrap metal in my house.
Where did that metal go?
which I reckon I can combine to make this.
That's where the metal went.
It's pretty simple, just a block of metal in two pieces with a swivel point here. Then you put the nail inside with a charge behind it, and when I hit the nail here, it moves back and hopefully sets off the charge, firing the nail out the end. And some of you might recognize some similarities between this and Stuff Made Here's baseball bat, but look, if he's allowed to copy my steel-toed croc video and make it much better, then I'm allowed to copy his video and make it much worse. And that's my idea, but I don't actually think I have the skills to make this, since this is my first time using a lathe, and so far I've only made this. So hopefully making the hammer is similar. And unlike this, which is made from round bar and fits in the 3-jaw chuck, I'm using square bar for the hammer, which doesn't fit. So either I add another jaw on the side, or use this 4-jaw chuck. And this sounds like an easy solution, but when you put material in a 4-jaw chuck like this, it needs to be centered using one of these. And I hate being precise. I always avoid it, but now, thanks to this tool, I have the ability to tell how unprecise I am, accurate to 1/100th of a millimeter. This is dumb. I feel like nothing I do makes any sense. I hit this side, and now this side has moved in. And then I turn this thing, and now the whole thing's the wrong way.
Wait, what?
But after mucking around with it for ages, I seem to have gotten the piece roughly in the middle. So I brought in the tool to do a cut across the face.
Yeah man, I'm still looking for the video.
And lathing is a lot of fun and really makes you feel like a man with a big manly tool, mainly because it allows me to finally grow facial hair. And that facing cut feels pretty smooth. And after comparing it to my face, it's much more flat. Okay, now I'm going to drill a hole in the center of the block. And this is the scary part, as if it's not centered, all the machinist watching will make fun of me.
I like the song. I don't know what song this is called, but it's a really good song.
Thank you so much for watching.
Fuck.
And this sucks. If I can't get the drill bit out, I'm going to have to start all over. I tried yanking it out by turning the lathe on while holding the other part still, and even tried putting it in the freezer with diced mangoes, which always helps me relax and shrink in size.
Oh, diced mangoes are so
But nothing
nice.
worked. But then I had a genius idea. I grinded some flour.
Diced mangoes, strawberries, and banana in a smoothie. Not in a smoothie. Blend into a smoothie with a bit of hibiscus syrup. Oh, gorgeous. Really great.
On the side of the drill bit and use this wrench to attempt to turn it out.
Yeah.
Which worked, but I still need to make the hole a little larger. And I've decided from now on, I should definitely use a safer approach and use a dummy and some lubricant.
I think I found him. Is this the guy you're on about? Yes? Cool. The boat? This one? Okay. After this, we'll watch it.
And I'm pretty sure the lathe isn't meant to be making this noise. So I just put on some ear protection to fix the noise, and that looks pretty good, and the blank also fits.
That's pretty perfect.
Okay, the hole is done and seems to be in the center. So I just cut the tip off using the world's most unpleasant tool. And then decided I had had enough of staring at these blanks and wanted to see what actually happens if I just hit one with a hammer.
3, 2, 1. Yes!
And now without ear.
Dead quick. I'm gonna change this. Can I change it just to a second screen? No. I was gonna try and do some university work while we all watch this together, but we can't. Actually, we can. If I just quickly get a game capture and add source, add a new source, game capture 2. Not that. FreeSonic, snipping tool, Steam, Vina. Huh. We can't get Chrome. It doesn't search for Chrome? Really? Hang on. So if we close the display, we grab this and bring this down. How do you capture Chrome then? So this is my problem. We're trying to capture a Pacific window. Oh, you can't see. No, get out. Out. So what are? No, nothing comes up. Clicker. Nothing pops up. Steam. Is this okay, what happens if I put Steam on? Will it pop up here? No. Fascinating. Choose a Pacific window. Okay, try that one. Okay, that worked. Snipping tool. Okay, so you can't see that. So what happens if I actually open it now? Huh. It doesn't actually work. That's really shit. What the hell? Yeah, delete that. I've learnt something new today. Display capture. I'm going to chuck you on. I'll do my work afterwards. No, I don't. I do need to do my work, but at the same time, I do want to watch. So we go up to. Cool. Primary. What's this one? Nope. This one? Yep. You lot show display capture. You lot shall enjoy the upstairs.
Ear protection for some reason.
3, 2, 1.
And I don't know why I did that. My ears are literally still ringing while recording this. But I still decided I want to see what happens if I hit it again, but this time with a nail on top. So I put the nail in, then place the blank underneath. And it's very important I do this in that order so I don't accidentally set off the blank and die. Then I hit it as hard as I could.
2, 1.
And nothing. And again. This time I placed a sharper point behind the blank. And still nothing. And then I tried placing the blank on flat metal and also clamping the device so it doesn't fall onto the ground and then point towards me.
3, 2, 1.
God, what the? Holy sh**. Where did the nail?
Oh, that is terrifying.
Ah, I cannot believe that these say they are weak. I am so glad I didn't buy the strong ones. Let's check upstairs and see if that did any damage.
And that works a little too well, which might be my fault, as I spent an hour like a sweatshop worker machining like 100 nails down until I had an airtight fit in the hole of the hammer. And I'm really starting to think I should make myself like a Kevlar apron or something to protect my innards. If for some reason anyone watching has some Kevlar they don't want that they want to send me, hit me up. Okay, moving on with the build, I need to make a hinge between the two pieces. So I decided to just use a store-bought hinge, which will attach to the bottom of some flat bar like this. And now it's time for something else I've never done, which is use this tap and die set to create threads in metal. But first, I thought I'd better read the instructions very, very carefully to make sure I don't die. Then, once it was kind of together, I realized a potential problem with my design, which was that the round could go off when I closed the hinge. Which it didn't, so I set it off with a stick once again.
3, 2, 1. Oh my god, it's too powerful, so I went straight through. And it went to the roof again.
And let's go check upstairs again. What?
And that works great, but I still decided to swap the hinge out for a more beefy one, which I took from the door of this cabinet. And I like this thing. It's like I'm holding a badly rendered pistol. Now I need to decide on the locks that hold the pieces together. And at first I was going to go with this kind of artistic wanky lock, but I don't actually think it would hold together with the extreme forces on the hammer. So I went with this sturdier one. Then once I tap and not died the rest of the holes, I've essentially got the finished thing. Except it looks really ugly. And after looking online at other kinds of hammers and other stuff, I found this by Adam Savage, which I'm going to take slight
Adam
inspiration
Savage
from.
made a weapon? That's pretty decent.
And after all that grinding, I was curious as to how much metal I had actually lost. So I measured it, and strangely, I gained around 1 centimeter. Then I cleaned up the other pieces using my sick tech deck skills from my childhood. And so far, this has actually been pretty easy. But now comes the hard bit, where I grind in the more delicate details and risk stuffing up this whole piece, which I'm terrified about. So I rolled a die to see which piece would be sacrificed first. Now I'm going to try and create an angled section on the side, and I can do this in 2 different ways. The first, by locking the grinding face at an angle. Or I can do my favorite method, which is to lock myself at a 45-degree angle so I'm consistent with my grind. And after combining the two, I created this. So then I just did the same thing on the front to create these cute little triangles, which despite my fears, actually look pretty good. So then I attempted the scariest part, which is a rounded groove cut into metal, which blacksmiths and whitesmiths like to call fullers. So I tilted the belt at this sharp angle and started. And while doing this, I actually found the best angle for grinding was when I placed my head right here, which allowed me to see right along the face. But it also means the metal dust gets a good view of my face as well. And after all this grinding, I was starting to create a bit of mess on the floor with all these iron filings. But luckily, I had a mate who told me a tip, which was to place a bucket of water directly underneath the grinder, which is actually great as it keeps me nice and cool while doing this hot work. Okay, the fullers look pretty good, although it is starting to look more like the G word, which I'm too scared to say on YouTube. And this definitely isn't a G, it's a hammer, not illegal, and it's just a homemade, slightly a dodgy version of something I can buy from stores. So then I switched to this belt, which I found in the bin of a waxing salon. And the tiny hairs stuck to this belt give the metal a really nice finish.
My God, that's smooth.
And look at that, I'm proud. It actually all looks good, except these little overhanging lips. So I gave it a labiaplasty. Now you're probably wondering how I'm going to stick a handle on this thing. And so am I. I definitely should have planned how I was going to do that from the start, because now I'm just going to have to go with the easiest, worst option, which is most likely going to ruin all of this work. And I'm going to attempt to weld a piece of pipe here and then just shove the handle in like this. And after a quick test, cutting another piece of pipe and welding that onto another piece of metal, and then hitting that as hard as I can against an anvil, I think it might hold. So I just got a piece real hot, squished it in the vise, and then closed my eyes and hoped for the best. And I really hope this doesn't stuff up. This has been my longest project so far and took me a crazy 13 minutes and 59 seconds to get here. And I had to sit through a Nord sponsor and 2 unskippable ads, so this better work. And after filling the piece up with about an inch of lava, the weld actually looks alright and the piece hasn't deformed. So then I cleaned off the black stuff until it was shiny again, and then did some research trying to decide on the finish for this metal. And one I do like is stone washing, where you etch the metal in acid. Then people on the internet will get that metal and put it in a rock tumbler to get this nice looking surface which protects the metal from rust and looks rustic. And I don't have a tumbler, so I figured out another easy way to make your own. All you do is you get your metal, put it in your pocket with some stones from the garden, and then put it in the washing machine for about an hour, which gives you this. And I decided I don't actually like this very much, so I'm sticking with the shiny finish. But I'm also going to copy what every WOG that moves to Australia does and cover pointless parts of it in gold in an attempt to make myself look more serious. Then I grabbed some oil and rubbed it all over the wood before using some quick set epoxy and a bolt to lock the handle in place. Now the instructions of the epoxy don't say you have to panic, but I find I get better results if I use the wrong size bolt, which I then have to cut down and then burn myself on. I then like to freak out that I'm not going to get the handle in place before the epoxy sets, ruining my whole project, meaning I'm not going to be able to upload a video in time and I'm going to become irrelevant and not be able to upload on YouTube ever again. And it worked. Then I took it back to the beautiful hairy belt to smooth it out. And I do like these hairy belts a lot. But just like the Thai place down the road, I find I get much better results when finishing by hand. And it's done. So I decided to do one last vice test just to make sure it all still works.
3, 2, 1.
Yo bro, love your stream. Let's sometime play together.
I
and share
don't
tips
know
with us.
why I
Let's
didn't
connect on
place a piece
Discord.
of wood there or something. Let's go upstairs.
Thank you.
What? Oh,
And I'm very, Very happy with that. This thing is powerful and beautiful. Definitely the coolest thing I've ever made. But I just realized that the vise was definitely adding heaps of support on the side and on the bottom of the hammer. So before I swing it by hand...
Wonder how many newtons it's adding, like pressure force. It'd probably be going between 20 to 40 miles per hour. Something like that, right? Or maybe 15? I wonder how much pressure is in a blank. Hang on. How much pressure is in a low blank round? Civilian. I think I said that right. Yeah, what he had is like a similar to 9mm. Let's go for that one, because that sounded like what it was. That's a lot. For ast is that. In miles per hour. Only 5. Oh wait, converting miles per hour equals. Holy shit! 1,232 miles per hour. Now that makes sense for why it was so loud. Okay.
And I decided to put it on this rig, which perfectly recreates how my arm works. Which didn't work. And again. Then I figured out what was happening. My hammer was working in the vise, but not for the reasons I intended. I thought the nail was moving back and pushing the blank, setting it off. But that wasn't actually happening. Because I was scared and crouching down to make sure I didn't die, I was actually hitting the top of the hammer, not the nail, which meant I was squishing these two pieces of metal together, setting off the blank. So I switched to a shorter nail so that the end of the hammer would actually hit the table. And...
Yes. Yes. Whoa.
What was that?
Alright, let's hammer some stuff that you shouldn't be able to. Like, this fry pan.
Oh my god.
And it smashed through that easily.
Stuck.
But it is pretty thin metal, so let's move on to some thicker metal, like this a barbecue plate, which is 1.5 centimeters thick.
3, 2, 1. Far out, that was a loud one. Okay, it's stuck. Ooh. Whoa. It is punched a clean hole. You can see the punch marks. Or the way that it kind of
blew it out at the back. That is insane. And after that success, I think I'm going to take it off the rig and have a go at hitting it myself. And I'm honestly so surprised this thing hasn't blown apart yet. And even my dodgy weld seems to somehow be holding up. So I stacked up some stuff in front of me and decided to hit this book. Oh. Oh my god, I'm terrified of this thing. Don't tip away from me. There. 3, 2, 1.
You missed. You hit the corner.
3, 2, 1.
Wow, that was loud.
That was actually fine to hold. Don't go all the way through the table. Went through the book, through the table, through this surfboard I have here, and is sticking out. That is insane. I'm going to stop playing with this thing. This. Thank you so much for watching. If you
Okay. That was amazing, but very, very dangerous. My only concern is how many PSIs is it actually using? That was a Aussie. UK ones are more stronger, from what I can remember. I'm not sure about the Aussie ones. Makes me want to know. So, dead quick. Price, you wanted to watch this. And I 100% agree. I will... This is Internet Historian. We can see there's going to be an old ad.
The Costa Concordia, ship of dreams. It's been 8 years. I can still smell the buffets from their 5 restaurants.
That crashed.
The casino and 3-story theatre had hardly been used. The gym, the day spa, the sheets in her 1,500 luxurious cabins hadn't even been slept in. Costa Concordia cost $570 million to build. And you could tell. You could really tell. I remember it like it was just a few years ago. We had left Civitavecchia, a port in Rome, and we were making our way to Savona. It was day 2 of our 7-day journey. But that ship, she was cursed.
Oh my word.
When she premiered, the traditional bottle of champagne bounced right off the side instead of smashing. A bad omen. But I'm not the superstitious type. Nothing could go wrong on Friday the 13th of January, 2012, on the 100th year anniversary of the Titanic, on a ship that's also only safety rated for 2-compartment flooding, especially not when you have a 5-star max-level captain like Francisco Scatino.
I've heard of
a
him.
man who mysteriously rose from head of security to the position of captain within just a couple of years. He knows exactly what to do in case of an emergency. For example, when he caused this emergency in 2008, when he crashed into a port in Sicily. And in 2010, in Warnemünde, Germany, when he was steering a different ship and came into port too fast and caused another collision. I've got a good feeling about this. So let's set the scene. It's a beautiful evening. People are having fun on the slides, drinks at the bar. Antonio Magnotta is playing piano at the restaurant. Martin the Magician is setting up for his show. And the ship is setting up for a little detour. It's called a sail-by salute. Basically, you get real close to the shore and honk the horn. The locals hate it, but the customers love it, and it's a tradition. Scatino, the captain, comes into the dining hall with a lady, Dominica Samorton. Remember this face because you'll be seeing a lot of it later. Scatino eats his dinner with her and socializes for a little while. Then he, Dominica, and the maitre d' finish up and excuse themselves. They're heading to the bridge. It's time for that sail-by salute. This time, they're going to get closer than ever. Just 1,500 feet from the island of Giglio. And how are they going to determine this distance? Well, of course, the captain is going to eyeball it. Apparently, it's not an uncommon thing to do. Scatino turns to the fella steering, his helmsman, Jacob Ruslibin. First interesting tidbit. Costa Crociere has hired Jacob from Indonesia at a rock-bottom price, and he's a bit of a newbie to the job. In fact, his profession hitherto, a painter and a cleaner. It's his first time steering a massive ship, and he's very excited. At least,
None of this can go well. And now he just said he's from Nigeria. Not Nigeria. I think Nigeria. Rock bottom price. I bet there's a language barrier and bet no one follows protocol. Let's see.
think he is. It's hard to tell because he doesn't speak English or Italian very well at all. Off to a good start. The second in command orders the helmsman to 290. Now, don't be confused by these numbers, they're just the degrees on a compass. At the same time, the captain whips out his cell phone and calls former captain Mario Palombo, who lives on the island. They chat about the safe distance to Giglio's shores. It's all very casual. Anyway, Mario says that the safe distance is between 0.3 and 0.4 miles from shore. The captain is going all in. This is not his first sail-by salute, so he's confident in what he's doing. We're going closer than we've ever been before. The captain's eyeballing it again. New heading of 300, he tells the helmsman. Downstairs, Martin is about to cut his assistant in half. And of course, that means that there's already a lady inside this box. She's waiting for the cue, and then she'll poke her legs out. The captain is giving more orders. Pulling gently to 310. Increase speed to 16 knots. Going this fast is going to be a fatal error. But before we talk about that, let's talk about another big problem. Language barrier. Because at this point, the captain says 325, but the helmsman relays 315. So the first officer intervenes, and he goes, no, 335, which is also wrong. And then the captain clarifies, no, 325. The helmsman confirms 325. Their poor communication has them moving at a much wider angle than they think they are. However, the captain should and would know this, except for the next problem, complacency about procedure. The standard procedure of a ship this large is for the third officer to give exact positional coordinates every time the captain gives a new directional order. But they're not doing that. 330, he says. The helmsman relays 330. The ship reaches 16 knots. The captain then turns to the second officer and instructs him to go to the left wing. That's these things here, and they basically exist so you can get a better view over the whole vessel. A few seconds pass, and then the mood starts to turn. Scatino notices white foam of waves breaking against the rocks directly in front of him in the distance. The Costa Concordia, right now, is almost 700 meters closer to the rocks than it should be. Without deviation, there is going to be a direct collision.
Oh, shit!
Scatino immediately commands the ship to start turning away. 335. Not enough. The captain shouts, 340. The captain yells, 350. Now, remember how I said that accelerating to 16 knots was a fatal error? Well, that's because it's made this ship incapable of such a drastic turn.
Just can't do an understeer.
What they've got is understeer.
Yeah.
Here's an example.
The front end is not working. You're turning, and you're just going straight. You want to go over here, but you're going to end up over here.
So despite the order of 350, right now the bow is still only pointing at 327. Not nearly enough to miss the rock. And oh no, it's about to get worse. That language barrier again. In these critical moments where every second counts, the helmsman wrongly relays 340. The captain snaps back, 350 starboard or we end up on the rocks. The third officer goes to assist the helmsman. Now, don't get confused by the orders from here. We're changing over to rudder instructions. The captain yells, starboard 10, starboard 20, and still it's not enough. Hard to starboard. That means as hard as it'll go. But at this point, even if they clear these rocks, they need to get the rest of the ship to swing around it. So the captain yells, "Midship," which centers the rudder. The bow is now less than 150 meters from Skull Rock. Port 10. But the helmsman only gets to port 5 before another order is given 2 seconds later. Port 20. They might just avoid disaster here, maybe. But then, oh no. One more time, the helmsman cocks up at the worst possible moment. The helmsman goes to starboard instead of port, undoing the swing. 8 seconds later, he realizes the error and corrects, but it's too late. He has just turned a probable near miss into a sure hit. All they can do now is hold on as the bow of the ship narrowly passes by the rocks. Hard to port! The second officer yells, "We're gonna hit!" Collision.
Spaghetti flowing everywhere.
Downtown, Nordtown. It's day 56 of playing Russian roulette. Seems I never win.
Gonna drink all by yourself?
Somebody has to.
I hear you're a man who's good at finding folks.
I'm many things.
I'm looking for this fella. I gots to find him. It's breaking my little heart.
I'll see what I can do. I have contacts in thousands of servers in dozens of countries across the globe. And just like that, she was gone. The only thing she left was a calling card. Sometimes when you follow a case, it follows you back. NordVPN can protect my online data. But who can protect me from myself? When they said this job gets easier, it was just another lie. Forensics found his password spread all the way down the block. In a perfect world, we'd all use NordVPN. But I guess this isn't that kind of story. I took the brakes off my car. Man like me never really learned how to stop.
Shut the fuck up.
I took the steering wheel out too. I let the road take me where I'm supposed to be. That's right, Toots. Your husband's dead. Merry Christmas. Go to nordvpn.com/internethistorian for a huge discount on a 2-year plan. Ad over.
Ed.
The ship hits rocks on the port side.
Jesus Christ, that was loud.
A 53-meter gash opens up in the hull, and thousands of tons of water begin pouring in. A loud scraping and bang is heard by all passengers. At the helm is panic. Rumblings in the dining room. Martin awkwardly pauses his act as he's helping his assistant into the box. Meanwhile, the lady inside is trapped and terrified. There's confusion across the ship. All of the crew off shift come back on duty. All officers run to the bridge. Technical crews run down to the lower decks to assess damage. On connection with the rocks, they lose propulsion and slow to 8.3 knots. And they are now adrift. Close the watertight doors at stern. Enormous volumes of water are pouring in. So much so that within 29 seconds of collision, all 6 engines stop working through flooding. 22 seconds later, a blackout happens. Lights, electrics, the water pumps too, everything. The captain orders the helmsman hard starboard. This is the final position of the rudder before power to that too is lost. The Costa Concordia, now without power, is drifting starboard, plunged into absolute darkness. A quick breakdown of the flooding. When the Concordia struck land, it tore open 3 watertight compartments. At first, compartment 5, which filled very rapidly. Then 6 more slowly, 4 shortly after. Then 7, 8 and 3. Modern ships are built to withstand 2 compartment breaches. These compartments especially, though, are a problem, because they contain the engines and the electrics. These main generators give power to the whole ship. From propulsion motors to rudder to hotel functions, pretty much everything. When they went out, the ship was a functionless, sinking cage. A few seconds later, the emergency batteries for internal lighting and communications kick on. When the lights come back on, Martin has vanished. He's ditched the stage. And it caused a huge panic in the theatre, as passengers are trying to flee to their cabins and to muster stations. People already in their cabins come out and start putting on life vests. Staff rally and try to calm everyone down. Everything is fine. There's no need for vests. Please return to your cabins. The emergency generator starts. All of the watertight doors close except for door 12, which is jammed. The captain calls Pilon, the chief engineer, as the ship begins to list on the port side. There's water coming in? Yes, there's water. But where? The engine room. But a lot of water? Yes! There's water, you can't go down. Let's go down the other side. In a moment we'll start the pumps, I'll let you know. In the theatre, the whole magic box apparatus slides right off the stage and falls into the crowd, further increasing panic. On the bridge, an announcement is being prepared. They are going to lie to prevent a panic. Let's just say we have a blackout. The deputy chief engineer enters the engine control room. He confirms to the bridge that at least compartments 5, 6, and 7 are flooded. Announcements are made.
The captain to inform you that due to an electrical fault, which is currently under control, we're currently in a blackout. Our technicians are working to resolve the situation and will inform you of developments as they occur. Thank you for your attention.
Coincidentally, at the same time in the restaurant, they're playing My Heart Will Go On, and it's very much not helping the situation. The captain calls the Costa Crisis Unit. Roberto Ferrarini. He tells the crisis unit that they've hit a rock, that they're assessing damages, and that they are also in a blackout. The crisis office says to reverse the ship up onto shore. Well, how are you going to do that? You don't have power to the rudder, let alone the engine. Hoist the sails? Anyway, around this time, the wind direction creates a starboard list, and the ship begins to turn anyway, drifting right back towards the shore, which is a very good thing because you want the ship to end up as close to shore as possible. A panicked passenger senses that something is off. This isn't like any electrical problem that she's ever seen. Plus, there was a massive crashing noise and now the ship is tilting. So, she contacts her daughter in Italy. The daughter then calls the police, and the police call the harbour master. While that goes on, a conversation between Pilon and Ambrosio. The diesel is not starting. The captain asks the engine room, but where have we made contact? Thinking that the incoming water can...
Are these people dumb? Like, seriously, are they that dumb? They've hit something and they're not... Just get help. Just get help. Be a responsible person and get help. Don't lie and say, oh, we've proper buggered up here, we require all rescue units. Don't just, sit there and be like, oh yeah, we've hit a little bit, but don't need help. We need help.
Be reduced. Captain, here everything is lost. The electrical panel, everything. They're saying at this point that the ship is going down. The captain calls Roberto Ferrarini again. Actually, 2 compartments have been flooded, but don't worry, the ship's stability isn't in danger. Wrong. Passengers begin going to muster stations on their own initiative. The cruise director says, we have a lot of people at muster stations that I do not want to fall overboard. Do we make an announcement to tell them to go to the lounges? Bozio says, I think that's best. The harbour master from Livorno calls the ship. The captain tells them that we just have a blackout. How long has this blackout been going on? About 20 minutes. Have you asked passengers to put on life vests? It's just a blackout. I gotta go. The harbour master is suspicious. He says to his superiors that he thinks something more is going on. He calls a patrol boat to the area and asks them to look at the ship. Another problem. The fan on the emergency diesel generator isn't working properly. Pilon manually has to turn the thing on and off with a screwdriver so that it doesn't overheat and cause a fire. The captain is on the phone to the lower decks, asking pointless questions, like, is it still flooded? Yes. Yes, it is. The captain is essentially in denial of the situation. The harbour master calls again. Finally, he says, the ship is taking on water through an opening on the left side and the ship is listing. He qualifies with, no one dead or injured. The The harbour master asks if he needs help. Just a tugboat? When in reality, they need a full rescue. With 3 compartments flooded, the captain finally realizes that things are really bad, and they are not going to improve. The Coast Guard orders every available ship to the scene. Meanwhile, up with the passengers, the cruise director's assistant says, everything's under control. Please return to your cabins or hang about in the lounges, no problem. She said this despite knowing it was wrong and that it further endangered lives. Most passengers at this point, though, aren't listening to this nonsense, and they're busy figuring out how to abandon ship. Bang, 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 bang. Local television has already picked up the story, and they begin broadcasting live radio feed from the bridge.
Hey, Capo.
Captain, the passengers are going on board the boats. Okay, let them go to shore. So then general emergency? Wait, let me talk to Ferrarini. We risk the emergency generators that do not have cooling. It has cooling problems, 100 degrees. The cooling fan has stopped. Pilon calls the bridge and tells the safety officer they need to evacuate. The safety officer relays this to the captain, but after no response, he orders the engine room to evacuate on his own. The captain says, "No, stay. We're leaving." So what do? General emergency? The captain tells Ferrarini that he's abandoning ship. Abandon ship! Another announcement is made.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. The situation is under control. Please remain calm. But at this time, proceed to your muster station. They're located outside on deck 4.
The Livorno Coast Guard calls again. The captain declares distress. The Coast Guard officially calls for rescue operations. They contact Pietro Milei, the helicopter base commander, who then calls in every available pilot. As he rushes down to the helicopter base, Pilon shuts down the emergency generator for the final time. The first rescue vessel arrives. By this point, the lifeboats are already going. Luckily, the ship is very close to shore. Oh, perhaps too close to shore. The ship forcefully runs aground, creating an uneven center of gravity, and it begins heavily listing starboard. The captain issues a general emergency on board. The announcement to abandon ship is finally called and alarms ring out, and with that comes panic. And now that they're listing, with many of the lifeboats too awkwardly positioned to enter the water, there aren't enough readily available, and they have to start going back and forth to the shore, picking people up and dropping them off. The patrol boats report to the Livorno harbour master that the ship has run aground and is listing heavily. So the harbour master asks the captain about it, and the captain says, no, the ship is still floating. In fact, we're trying to maneuver it onto the shore. They know he's lying.
Hold on, I'm reversing it. Beep, 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 beep.
The captain then says to bottom out the starboard anchor. So they drop out the anchors, but let out too much chain, effectively rendering them useless. The deputy mayor of Giglio, Mario Pellegrini, and tobacco shop owner Giovanni Rossi arrive at the harbour. They watch the scene unfold. As the first of the lifeboats arrive on shore, the deputy mayor takes the initiative and races to board one of the lifeboats, returning to the ship, and starts trying to find someone in charge. He gives up and starts helping passengers.
What the hell?
Scatino tells everyone to leave and take radios, but not before changing out of his uniform and into a nice suit. Priorities. Dimitri Christidis and Silvia Coronica leave with him. The maitre d' and Sir Morton both get out of there. By this point, approximately 300 people are still on the ship. Milei reaches the helicopter base. The first helicopter, a slow-moving Augusta Bell, was already rising from the tarmac for the hour-long flight south. Bozio is the last crew member left on the bridge, coordinating evacuation. He then leaves to help passengers board lifeboats. The bridge is now abandoned. And then, the ship's black box stops working. Apparently there were technical problems with it. That means, from here, things are going to get a little foggy in detail.
I thought black boxes
A while
can't
later,
get
rescue
decrypted.
helicopters arrive, but they're struggling to find the ship because they're expecting it to still be well above water. Passengers are scaling down the port side by ladder as lifeboats return to pick them up.
This is no joke. Oh my goodness. It was no joke, mi amor. Yes.
You're not allowed to make a film
I'm
movie.
allowed.
Who say you are?
A second helicopter, a faster model, sets off. The ship stops healing and comes to a final resting place. Now the Coast Guard calls the captain because he's just learned that the captain has abandoned ship. The captain claims, No, actually, I slipped and I fell into one of the lifeboats. Ooh, I'm a klutz. But now that I'm on board, I may as well head back to shore. DeFalco tells the captain to get the fuck back on board. And the captain kind of acts confused and then effectively refuses. So the captain makes it to shore. From here, we only have mainstream news reports to rely on, so it's not going to be super accurate. But they say that Giglio's police chief then finds 110 survivors on the rocks at Point Gabbianara. And among them is the captain. It's not known whether the captain helped anyone while he was there, and in fact, the police chief claimed that he just sat on the rocks and watched other people do the rescuing. A while later, a rescue boat picks up the captain and takes him to the harbour. He speaks to the police. He then finds the ship's onboard chaplain, Father Rafael Molina, and cries to him for about 15 minutes. Then he goes to the harbour master's office to receive probably the biggest dressing down of his entire life. Port authorities ask the taxi driver to take the captain back to his hotel. The captain takes the 30-second cab ride to the Bahamas hotel. According to the cabbie, he was beaten like a dog. He was cold and afraid. He only asked me where he could buy a pair of fresh socks. But then he perked right up again and gave an interview to a news crew. He told them that he was the last to leave.
The captain is usually the last to abandon ship. What happened, Captain?
We were the last to leave the ship.
All day Saturday, rescuers search for people on the ship. On Sunday morning, a South Korean couple is found in their cabin, safe but shivering. They had slept through the crash and woke up unable to exit their cabin. The last survivor, Manrico Giampandroni, was found with a broken leg. He was the cabin's service director. In the end, 32 people died. The final body wasn't discovered until nearly 3 years later. A crew member, Russell Rebello, and it's believed that he died a hero helping passengers off the ship.
You poor thing.
The Costa Concordia was the largest cruise ship disaster since the Titanic. And then there's the ship. This is what happens to a 110,000-ton cruise liner when it's left half rolled over in the ocean. But this isn't the end. It's just the halfway point. What most people know is that the Costa Concordia had crashed, many dead, and that the captain abandoned ship like a coward. But there's a whole veritable spaghetti of details to untangle. Let's dive in. There they are. The deets. Blue box time. The Costa Concordia was more than just a floating resort. There's a mall, a casino, cha-ching, cha-ching. This iron chest was full of safes and cash registers and expensive fittings. And there were plenty of gamers prepared to sneak by authorities and try their luck in the hot zone. Within days, police divers reported that valuable items, once seen lying around the ship, were now missing. High-end liquor, expensive furniture, dining sets, cash from the casino, cash registers, jewelry and display cabinets, safes, Japanese woodblock prints by famous 18th century artists, as well as the iconic bell, which hung from the bridge of the ship. It was never found. Who steals a big fuck-off bell? Even the server admins were getting involved. 4 divers who were part of the company contracted to refloat the Concordia were spotted on CCTV, sneaking out to the ship. A patrol boat was dispatched, and the men were caught inside the fancy suites with rucksacks full of stolen goods. The 4 men are charged with stealing and thieving and pinching. Later on, stolen as well as legitimate items found their way to Amazon and eBay. Chips from the casino, postcards, and cabin access cards became highly sought after souvenirs.
It even has a watermark.
Some Australian guy even made a
really
listing
fucked
for
up.
the ship itself, advertising it as buyer to collect. And although there were plenty of bidders, eBay pulled the plug. I know you want to see Scatino go to jail, and we'll get to that. But first, we have to talk about someone else. Domnica Samorton.
That was a close one.
There was speculation that she was on the bridge that evening because she was the captain's mistress.
Intense media speculation reports that her presence distracted the captain.
They both denied their love for years and maintained that they were just friends. Although she did later admit to the media that she found him handsome. And how could you not?
You so fucking precious when you smile.
But she says there was no romantic link between them.
Some people would like to believe, they want to know I have something with him. It's more interesting. It's like, you know, some spicy in the story.
Miss Samorton also loved the spotlight, however,
Everyone, oh no!
and took several interviews. But as the pressure mounted upon her, she began making ominous threats to Scatino, saying he must confess, and that you have but 1 week to come clean. But things from here get weird.
Spicy.
Samorton is a bit of a wild card. In a subsequent interview, she claimed a helicopter came to the ship well before the other rescue craft to take away a package. Huh? And what was that package? Drugs, apparently. So rumors began that the ship was running narcotics for the mafia. And not without cause. A number of cruise ships, even recently, have been caught trafficking drugs. As an aside, Scatino was tested for drugs immediately after the crash. He tested negative for drugs in his system, but trace amounts of cocaine were found in a hair sample.
Makes it smoother and less dry.
Nonetheless, the Concordia was searched and no drugs were reportedly ever found. How did we get here? Oh right, a helicopter. Samorton commented on it again the next day and said, actually, that helicopter was just for the captain as a means of evacuation from the ship. Okay, wait. So she expected to get some sort of first-class rescue while everyone else was still stuck on the ship? Wait, how did we get here? Oh, right, sex with the captain. Divers were quick to head to the captain's cabin where they found Miss Samorton's lingerie and other articles of clothing as well as a makeup bag. The jig was up, but they continued denying it. Samorton mostly faded from international attention until she was told to appear before the court to present witness testimony. The judge pressed her to be truthful about their relationship, or she would be held in contempt.
Either tell me the truth or shut up.
So finally, she admitted it.
Yes, I had a sentimental relationship with the captain.
Stop.
But now, stop asking about my private life.
She was indeed the captain's lover.
What is up, Trouble Alert Nation? Scatino cheated on his wife with Seymour Tan. Oh my god!
She and Scatino had been having an affair for several weeks. She also said that on the night she boarded, she didn't have a ticket.
Ticket, please.
And didn't need to pay because nobody questions you when you're the captain's lover. Naturally, she gave another confusing interview after leaving court.
I want to say that today is the second time I die, because the first time I died in the night of the crash with my psychological brain and
While she used her fame in Moldova to become a political activist, often appearing on television and radio and in articles covering protests, accompanied by pictures of her being arrested by police.
Yeah.
It was some stuff about victims of violence, women's rights,
Girl power.
yada yada yada, and interestingly, part of a push to block the sale of shares of Moldova's train network to Russia.
Sure.
Other than that, I don't really know what she's been up to. Let me just check on her Oh god, not again. Several civil suits were quickly lodged against Costa Crociere, and their parent company, Carnival Cruises, immediately saw a share drop of 23%.
Don't beat.
Passengers sought compensation for their damaged mental health, lost belongings, and loved ones.
Either they allowed him to divert from his course, or they didn't know where their billion-dollar ship was.
Within a few days, facing financial and media pressure, the CEO attempted to join the bandwagon against the captain and the crew.
That was not the ordinary route that the ship was taking at the time, and was not only taking, but the time the ship was...
Claiming that the ship was not approved to deviate from the route. But that wasn't true. Approval isn't required if the ship is deviating by less than 15 miles, or that it was against company rules. Also untrue, because investigators found that they didn't have any rules about deviating route, and they tacitly encouraged sail by salutes. Now, in response to the civil suits, Costa Crociere offered passengers 11,000 euros each as compensation.
That's kind of small.
11,000 euros, about $14,000, is the minimum compensation under international law when a ship is abandoned.
This was to reimburse them for their tickets, as well as any costs they accrued in having to unexpectedly travel home early.
And that was supposed to release them from everything and anything that has to do with this accident. I cannot ask for more than this.
A lot of passengers, understandably, were not too happy with this deal, and they refused to take the money.
We think the offer is an insult. For what these poor passengers went through, we think that the compensation being offered is not commensurate.
Here, take it.
Compensation being offered is not commensurate.
Later, Costa Crociere would lodge a plea deal with the Tuscany court to pay a €1 million fine to avoid a criminal trial. The judge agrees. Costa Crociere is now off the hook for all criminal liability for the whole thing. They've washed their hands of the incident and flecked the residual droplets of responsibility onto the faces of 6 staff members. Passengers and relatives of the dead are livid that...
No, I don't believe that should be correct. I don't believe it's all their fault. There was that one guy that went really hard to try and help, who stayed on the bridge until it was necessary. So I believe it wasn't really that bad, personally. But that's just me. I believe it should be all on the captain and the person who couldn't speak.
The company has been able to avoid...
And that woman who refused to give coordinates.
...criminal responsibility.
Offered is not commensurate.
Civil suits against the company continue. By the way, the residents of the island of Giglio also banded together and sought damages. They didn't get much. Eventually, passengers who refused the initial compensation of $11,000 joined civil parties against Schettino in his trial in 2015.
Is not commensurate.
They were awarded €30,000 each. Other cases, especially those involving lost relatives, are settled for undisclosed amounts. New York attorney Peter Renee traveled to Budapest to represent 6 real survivors.
Right, let me change this back now. Yep. Yep. What? What did you do? I need to just add all this back. I'm just getting everything ready for him, and then I'm gonna stop live streaming and just get like this more low poly car done. change display. Huh? Really? You're struggling. Alright, there we go. Yeah, I got model one of these cars. So that's lovely. My desktop is absolutely filled with rubbish. Let me just... Yeah, so... No, this needs to go... yeah, save. Here. So, hard surface... Also, there's weapon production. That goes into weapon production. And then this one goes here. Yes. Organic games environments. Yeah, that goes in here too. There you go, into hard surface weapons. Oh, fine. Clean. Not quite. I need to go up to here. You need to come down here and go here. And you go there. There we go. Back to normal. For now. So, where were we? Tasks. Ben's, what are you doing? That's tomorrow. We'll have to do that. Car needs doing. We'll be doing that in a minute.
Of the disaster.
At Ronet & Ronet, we personally work on every case.
And we'll work harder than anyone to get you the most money possible in the shortest amount of time.
And while on the job, a seventh case cropped up via email. An elderly woman, Alona, said,
"Help me, Mr. Ronai, for I have lost my daughter, Eva, and my 5-year-old granddaughter, Roxana."
So Mr. Ronai agreed to speak with her. However, there were some inconsistencies in her story. Neither Eva nor Roxana were on the passenger list. Odd, but Costa is known for having stowaways.
Gotcha, bitch!
Still, Mr. Ronai was suspicious. They wouldn't cheaty old Petey, would they? Ronai inquired further about why she was on board, especially without a ticket. Ilona said,
"Well, I don't know, but you should ask her boyfriend.
Zolt Horvath.
He'll know all the details."
I'm up all night. I'm going crazy, he said. But Mr. Ronai was still suspicious. Because then she asked, "How much money do you think this is worth?" This is a huge red flag, Petey. In 20 years of doing this, you've never had anyone ask about money. Why now? So Mr. Ronai hired an investigator and sent photos around of the missing girl. The next day, the phone rang. Oh, hoi hoi. It was the boyfriend again. Look, there's been a bit of a misunderstanding and the child isn't missing at all. Uh-huh. And then he claimed he was confused because he had done too many drugs the night before. Oh. Okay, can I speak to the daughter then? At first, he was refused. So Ronai said that he'd have to file a missing persons report to the police if he couldn't. The boyfriend relented. That night, Ronai met with Zolt and brought the police with him. He speaks to the granddaughter and asks her if she's seen Mum. Yeah, I saw her today. Oh, really? Yeah, we went to the park today and we went on the swings. Oh no, the jig was up. So the mum walks into the room sheepishly. It's a miracle! And the story changed again. Okay, I'm not dead, but I did injure my leg when I jumped from the ship. And then I immediately flew back to Budapest. Although don't worry about checking my leg because there are no visible marks or injuries. Old Petey, I'm beginning to think they weren't even on the boat. Also, it turns out this lady isn't her mum, it's just a neighbour. Eventually, Renee managed to make the pair confess. And then they said, hey, we haven't done anything wrong. We haven't taken any money. And in the end, it looks like there'll be no criminal punishment for the scam, because Hungary, a former communist country, has no laws against insurance fraud on the books.
The law firm that never sleeps, call 1-800-6647.
Oh, that's a bad idea. Oh, that's a very bad idea.
Mario, would you teach me some Italian?
Oh, of course.
Get back on board, for fuck's sake.
Okay, thanks.
Gregorio De Falco, the naval officer who shouted at Schettino to "Vada a bordo caso," became a bit of a national hero overnight in Italy. He, like the rest of the world, expected Schettino to go down with the ship. And when the captain chickened out, De Falco was there to admonish him. And when he stopped answering the radio, he called him on his cell phone to continue putting him on blast. When the captain first reported just a blackout, De Falco didn't believe the story and immediately began preparing a rescue effort, which likely saved several lives. His actions were applauded by most Italians who were tired of their public servants being corrupt and avoiding responsibility. Accordingly, shirts sporting "Vada a bordo caso" were being printed by the end of the week, others setting it as their phone's ringtone. But then, in September 2014, without warning, De Falco was transferred to an admin role in the Coast Guard.
Hear what I said? He'd been demoted.
De Falco said that he had been passed up for promotion, that he had also not been told which admin office he was even being transferred to, and that it all effectively cancelled 10 years of his career. De Falco was tres furioso, and there was public speculation that it was owing to bad blood between himself and Admiral Delano, his former boss. His status among the public overshadowed his superior in many ways. On the other hand, his boss said, no, it's part of a normal career progression for naval officers and that he must show more maturity and professionalism to advance his career. Now, it's hard to know what's true in office politics, so let's leave that alone. And anyway, in 2018, De Falco said "Buenas noches, ya later" to the Italian Navy to become a politician. In March that year, he was elected to the Italian Senate, serving as a member for Livorno. He still serves there today.
I'm the captain now.
The day after the disaster, Schettino was taken into custody by police and underwent questioning. However, it was clear that this would not be a straightforward investigation. So the judge released him under house arrest at his home in Sorrento, a town in Napoli. By July of that year, the house arrest was relaxed and he was allowed within this general area. While under house arrest, he wrote a book with this journalist from Rai magazine. I have no idea what it says, I don't speak Italian. But goddammit, he must have some kind of charisma going on, because there's been a lot of speculation in the press that he had an affair with her as well.
You can't keep getting away with it!
Hold on, I got it. Not content with abandoning his ship, this dude is determined to abandon his wife as well. So, Schettino and 5 others are facing criminal charges. Straight away, everyone lodges a plea bargain with the court, and all of those plea bargains are accepted, except for Schettino's. And the condition of everyone's reduced sentences are that they must provide witness testimony against Schettino.
He touched me.
Ciro, Jacob, and Silvia were all given suspended sentences. Roberto and Manrico are able to opt for community service or house arrest. Not a bad deal.
No. Where is he? She should be sentenced. Was it him?
Roberto and Manrico are able to opt for community service or house arrest. Not a bad deal.
A good deal. Good deal.
And that meant that Schettino was now all on his own. Ciro, the first officer, was the first to give his testimony. On the witness stand, he claimed that Schettino was distracted by his mistress and other guests on the bridge. That there was confusion over who was in command. Then it was Jacob's turn, and he said Lamau XD because he didn't actually bother with his testimony or his reduced sentence. He just fled the country. It took authorities 12 months to eventually track him down on the outskirts of Jakarta. And when they said, "Oi, we still want that witness testimony," he just scalped again, and he hasn't been found since. After that, Ferrarini gave his testimony, then look, we don't have time to relitigate the whole trial, so let's just go straight to the verdict. Guilty! Schettino was found guilty of multiple manslaughter, causing a shipwreck, abandoning ship, and lying to authorities. He is sentenced to 16 years and 1 month in prison. But wait, there's still the appeals. The appeals trial begins. And the verdict on the appeal? Surprise! Rejected! So Schettino's lawyers appealed again. And the verdict on the final appeal?
Schettino made multiple attempts to secure a plea deal but was denied by the prosecution each time. The prosecution called for Schettino to be sentenced to 26 years in prison, calling the incident a Titanic affair.
Oh, okay, I see what you did there.
Schettino was not present. His lawyers stated that he was waiting outside of the jail for the ruling, so that if his plea was rejected, he could immediately start serving his sentence. And with that, 5 years and 4 months after the disaster, he was finally in a cell.
I will not be making any comment. Oh, that hurt.
Linus Tech Tips.
The salvage operation was enormous. It took over 2 years and cost an estimated $1.2 billion. Beginning in early 2012, they first spent 2 months pumping fuel from the ship's tanks. At the same time, they had to pump seawater in so that the balance wasn't affected and the ship didn't slide around. In early 2013, a platform was built under the ship to prevent it from falling further. Sponsons were then attached to the sides of the ship and cables attached to the underwater platform. The sponsons were then dragged underwater and opened up to allow the ocean to fill them. The ship could then roll over properly. By late 2013, the ship was upright once more. The sponsons were then attached to the side of the ship to help keep it balanced. It now rested partially above water and crews could walk around safely. By July 2014, the water was removed from the sponsons and compressed air was pumped in to lift the ship. And she was ready to cruise again. This time to a port in Genoa. It was a 4-day towing journey to the docks where a 2-year process of dismantling and recycling would begin. That same weekend of the towing, Schettino was busy. He was the guest of honor at a white party on an island in the Bay of Naples. He appeared on the front page of a local newspaper, flanked by 2 of Italy's most eligible bachelorettes. Anyway, so these are the things that I remember from the Costa Concordia. That sweet maiden of the sea. And as for you, little fella, well, it's time to return you from whence you came. Six quick things. 1. NordVPN, good product, check them out. Number 2, there's a new video on the second channel. You probably didn't see it because it was temporarily restricted. Now it's not. Enjoy. 3, if you've never seen the second channel before, give it a go. It's a different type of content, but we put a lot of production into it. It's not just offcuts. 4, there are a couple secret channels as well, but I ain't telling you where they are. 5, no more 45-minute videos on the main channel. Back to 10 to 15 minutes and more of them. 6, there's a Q&A coming out next week on incognito mode. It's got a ton of detail that we had to cut for this.
Well, I'd like to say thank you very much. I'm going to start doing my university work. And I've actually enjoyed just putting the video on while doing my university work. The time I've done my wheel, done my writing, and I've published my work. I hope you all have a great time. Next time I'll probably play a game maybe tomorrow. Dead quick. Let's go big camera. Dead quick. And I'll just quickly have a look at my timetable now. There we go, there's Beacon. And then go to timetable. Maybe not tomorrow. Wednesday. I'm in 9 to 12, so maybe something in the afternoon Wednesday. That's when we will do something.